We apologize for the delay. We'll get started here in a couple of seconds. Okay, I think we're almost ready to go. Okay. Good evening. I'm calling this meeting to order. The time is 5:38 p.m. in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code Chapter 551. This meeting is officially open with a quorum present. The following board members are present um, virtually. I will call on our colleagues that are joining us virtually. Trustee Daphne Brookins.
Present.
Thank you. Trustee Ashley Paz.
Present.
Thank you. And I am confirming that trustees Toby Jackson, Quentin Phillips, CJ Evans, and Norman Robbins, Ana Luevanos are present in person here in the boardroom. And moving on to stating that March 16, 2020, Governor Abbott temporarily suspended certain open meetings requirements imposed by the Open Meetings Act to slow the spread of COVID-19. This action permits meetings subject to the Open Meetings Act to be hosted by telephone or video conference. This meeting is being broadcasted live via Spectrum Charter Channel 192, the Fort Worth ISD live channel on YouTube, and link provided in the agenda. In accordance with those suspended rules, we certify the following. Notice of this meeting has been posted online for at least 72 hours. Although members of the board are not gathered in a central physical location, we do have a quorum in attendance at this meeting by video conference and or telephone call. We are meeting by use of Zoom software application, which allows two-way communication for members of the public. As we would at any in-person meeting, members of the public who have followed the instructions on the meeting notice for registering to speak during the public comment portion will be unmuted for 3 minutes to speak. All other meeting procedures will adhere to board adopted procedures to extent practicable. An audio recording of this meeting is being made and will be available to the public at a later date. We apologize in advance for any unforeseeable difficulties and ask for your patience as we navigate unprecedented conditions. If you have questions about these suspended laws, please call the Office of the Attorney General at 888-672-6787 or by email at toma@oag.texas.gov. We will now move to the pledges, which will be led by Mr. Clint Bond.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Mr. Bond. At this time, we will now hear public comment. Let me remind you that because of the restrictions by the Texas Open Meetings Act, board members may not engage in a verbal exchange about a subject that has not been posted. We will listen and take notes, but the board is prohibited from responding to any inquiries made during a board meeting on any topic not posted on the agenda. However, the board may reply with 1, a statement of specific factual information given in response to the inquiry, 2, recitation of existing policy in response to the inquiry, or 3, direct a person to visit with staff about the issue. While the board listens to concerns of a general nature, speakers should refrain from mentioning names of individual employees or public officers during their comments. Any employee, parent, or other member of the public is asked to comply with the appropriate grievance policy to have a complaint heard per board policy. No presentation may exceed 3 minutes unless the speaker has prior approval for additional time because of the use of a translator. Speakers who require the assistance of a translator are permitted double the allotted time of speakers who do not require the assistance of a translator. Furthermore, a speaker may not relinquish his or her time to another speaker. I ask that you please observe these rules for the purpose of effectively accomplishing the business of the meeting in a timely manner. Because you are utilizing an online platform, all speakers will be announced to speak in the order they signed up. Mr. Clint Bond will announce the speaker's name, and at that time, his or her microphone will be unmuted for 3 minutes. Before making your comment, state your name and then proceed with your comment. At the end of the 3 minutes, your microphone will be muted. Mr. Bond, would you please call our first speaker for this evening?
President Ramos, our first speaker for this evening is Kevin Meckenbeer. And sir, if you're ready, you may begin.
Yes, thank you. And I imagine someone will tell me if they only hear silence and can't hear my voice. So thanks for having me. My name is Kevin Meckenbeer. I am the Director of K-12 Programming for EverFi in Texas. And EverFi is proud to present the EverFi Champion District Seal to Fort Worth ISD. At its core, EverFi is a learning platform on which students engage with digital content that has been donated by corporate, community, and nonprofit partners. Members of the EverFi contributor network include local entities like the United Way of Tarrant County, the Dallas Cowboys, EECU, and hundreds of other national partners. The content is all whole child related areas, including financial literacy, college and career readiness, health and wellness, and STEM. EverFi's digital platform has a presence in over 7,500 districts across North America, and this year has decided for the first time to recognize its most engaged partners with the EverFi Champion District Seal. Of our 7,500 partner districts, fewer than 5% received this recognition. To qualify, a district had to not only pass a threshold of student usage, but also have that student activity be across a broad enough spectrum of content areas. Fort Worth ISD more than surpassed the threshold. 16,000 unique students across 66 school buildings use at least one EverFi program in the 2019-2020 school year. Dating back to 2013, when EverFi and Fort Worth ISD's partnership began, we're now up to 61,000 student enrollments on our platform, representing over 100,000 hours of student learning. While it has been absolutely a community-wide effort, including not just members of the Fort Worth ISD community, but also the partners across our network, I did also want to take the opportunity to recognize a couple of individuals without whom this could not have happened. First, Catherine Everest, Director of Counseling Services. Her efforts have led to Fort Worth ISD having the highest number in the nation of student users of the EverFi Compassion Project, teaching empathy, compassion, and mindfulness to elementary students. Second, I'd like to recognize David Sines, Chief of Innovation, along with the CTE team, including Vanessa Rittenauer, who have all worked tirelessly to empower teachers with resources to develop financial literacy, digital safety, and character education resources that are used quite broadly across the district. That is an announcement we are proud to make, proud to share with Fort Worth ISD, proud to celebrate the past school year and to continue our work together going forward. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Ashley Clark. Ms. Clark, are you there? Ashley Clark. Ashley Clark.
I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, you may begin.
Okay, wonderful. Hi, everybody. I started a Facebook group called Fort Worth ISD Virtual Families, where parents support each other through this journey and help our kids find friends. The theme has been that everyone is sincerely happy that schools have reopened, and we agree 100% that kids need to be in school. These parents would love to have their kids back in school, but a force that is out of our control just makes it impossible. And there are many good things to celebrate in the last 6 weeks, and we are grateful for all of your hard work. So many families are talking in the group about how they have been rocked by a new trend that appears to be quietly growing at some of our city's best public elementary schools. And we are begging you for your intervention to stop it as soon as possible. Children that were getting 5 hours of education, when we were all virtual, we're then dropped to like 2 when school's open for in-person. And as this week, they are slashed to 1 hour of like random 15-minute micro touches that are like snuck around when the kids are at recess or just like before the teacher rushes off to go grab food. The asynchronous learning like abyss is all scheduled at the exact time in the morning that people with jobs are expected to do things, And like many of these parents were like already sitting on the carpet next to a 4-year-old trying to be that like human glue that makes hybrid pre-K work. So what we're asking for you guys to do is to make a rule for all of Fort Worth ISD that you cannot have kids below 3rd grade taught asynchronously. I mean, we're in this together, but like there has to be guardrails. Create a path for principals to pool virtual learners from different schools together to create a 100% virtual classroom. And that's happening all over the country. And it's like, we're happy to sign off our rights to come back to our in-person school this year, but like, we're desperate. And then the other thing is to just regularly publish the average learning assessment scores for the 2 types of learners, like broken down by school, because if this is all an experiment, like let's track the data. So please understand that there's no way all children can return to in-person. It just so happens that in this group, the people who this is happening to just happen to be Black and brown. That is what is happening. If you can possibly find it in your hearts to make it impossible to make a pre-K child go for 3 hours or 2 hours without even any teacher, we just really need your help. We appreciate all you're doing. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Stephen Poole. Mr. Poole, you may begin when you're ready, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Bond. Good evening, Mr. Ramos, members of the board, and Dr. Scribner. I'm Stephen Poole, Executive Director of UEA, and I think it's important that we recognize all of the hard work of our teachers and staff in the district. Their work is overwhelming, and here in October, our teachers are overwhelmed with their work. I've had a lot of conversations with the superintendent and deputy superintendent on ways we can take things off of teachers' plates, and they have responded. And this week is a good first step. They have done a lot to take a lot off of teachers' plates, but there's always more to do, and that's where you come into play. Your support's going to be important on teacher evaluations for this year. Floating around social media was a post by a well-respected educator that said, I think teacher evaluations right now should focus on the following questions. How are you doing? Are you taking care of yourself? How is your family? And how can I best support you right now? And he is absolutely right. Unfortunately, our state evaluation is not set up that way. It's very time intensive. But the state has granted you the powers to waive portions of a teacher evaluation, and you've done so. I'm asking that you to take a step further and allow those teachers who are rock star teachers who have met the state criteria in past years to skip the 2-hour formal observation that is required of teachers and appraisers this school year. It's showing grace to teachers and recognizes the hard work and gives times back to them. Now, I don't represent administrators, but I'm sure principals will be cheering this too. That's 2 hours that they can focus in on students instead of the teacher of the year that's been teacher of the year the past 18 years. So it's those kind of things that we need to do as a district to find ways to take things off of teachers and staff plates. And I'm going to continue working with Dr. Scribner and Ms. Molinar on those issues, and your support would be greatly appreciated. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker this evening is Yanira Borges. Are you there? Yanira Borges? Yanira Borges, are you there? We'll move on to the next speaker. It's a statement from Rabia Aziz that I will read. We are a virtual family, and we want to emphasize the need to make it more effective by providing aid to teachers who are handling both and seem to be overwhelmed by it. We don't know how serious a situation can get with second wave, so virtual has to be in place at least for a year. Education is what makes all the difference, so kids at home need to feel part of school rather than treated as something extra and a burden for teachers, which I feel. It feels I'm stuck with safety on one side and overwhelmed teachers on the other. Thank you. The next is a statement from Sandra Mercazzo. I'm a parent in Fort Worth with, let me start that again, please. I'm a parent in Fort Worth with a warning for the virtual families of Fort Worth ISD. On Monday, our elementary school switched our pre-K daughter to a new tragic plan, which I now know is quietly across the district for our youngest children. My daughter will now go nearly 3 hours in the morning without any adult teaching interaction. Right when I have to start my job, right when my other child needs help to support his hybrid education. I know what the parents hearing this are thinking. This will never happen at our school, and I would have told you that my school would have never done this. Our principal said all the right things. The PTA had our backs, and our amazing teacher was committed to our kids. My daughter's teacher showed us a lot of compassion in a meeting with pre-K parents as she explained why she knew this wouldn't work. And she started talking to us about the benefits of homeschooling. She said this all happened because the district has the individual schools in control of their own small island of virtual kids. They have no incentive to help form 100% virtual classes because of red tape. And there are some other rules that stop the teachers from getting an assistant to make hybrid work. So they are solving the problem with an option that the Fort Worth ISD needs to remove from the toolbox today. I am begging the school board to stop allowing principals to solve this monumental challenges with the myth of asynchronous learning for kids under age 8. Thank you for all your hard work. Our next speaker will be Ken Cool. Mr. Cool, are you there?
I am, yes.
You may begin, sir.
Hi, I'm a Fort Worth ISD parent, and I just wanted to start by thanking you all for your dedication and commitment to our students, our families, and community. I've been impressed with the virtual learning my daughter is getting and appreciative of the social emotional component that's been included. At this point, though, I want to implore you to maintain your commitment to virtual learners. Some of them don't have a choice given their personal or family circumstances, and they deserve to have this level of commitment to virtual learning for as long as is necessary. Virtual has worked, and for some, it has worked really, really well, and that's because synchronous time has been included. Don't let this go away. Kids need to interact with their teachers and with other kids, even if they can't come back to school for whatever reason at this point during a pandemic. And virtual learning methods and components need to remain in place anyway, as long as there's a chance that classes or cohorts might need to quarantine in response to outbreaks. So virtual learning needs to remain robust, and synchronous learning needs to continue. And look, I shouldn't have to say this, but we need to remember that opening or closing schools, virtual learning, and COVID precautions like masks, these are not so much about kids catching COVID. They are about the overall spread of COVID in our community. These are about our students' extended families catching COVID. These are about the lasting effects on COVID on those that recover, like parents from our school. I ask our community members to respect these reasonable and science-based concerns of your fellow community members. Board and administration, please remember that the Fort Worth ISD community is extraordinarily resourceful, but we can only come to the aid of our students and families when the district is transparent with us. If we lack Chromebooks, if we lack PPE, if we lack other resources, the Fort Worth ISD family of parents and teachers should be the first to know so that we can rally support. I also want to mention my support for Proposition A. The TRE is needed and deserved support for our kids and teachers. We need to remember that Fort Worth ISD didn't get to use extra federal funds from the CARES Act to mitigate COVID expenses last year because the state of Texas withheld those funds for the final weeks of the last school year. When you vote, please, please remember public education. A huge thank you is most importantly sent to our teachers. They've made this work, and we want to give them whatever they need to make it continue to work. We could not have done this without them. Thank you all for your time.
Our next comments this evening are from Katie Wilhite, and it's a statement. Good evening. I appreciate the board's dedication to making an evidence-based decision in regards to how and when to allow for in-person education for Fort Worth students. I'm an emergency and critical care medicine pharmacist currently practicing in Fort Worth and mother of 2 children ages 3 and 5. Aside from a child's home, the school is the environment that has the greatest impact on a child's health and well-being. The best evidence we have suggests that when proper procedures are followed, COVID-19 transmission among children in schools is low. Very few reports of children being the primary source of COVID-19 transmission among family members. Extended school closure is harmful to children. Please keep our schools open for in-person choice for those families who choose it. The next comments will be from Lacey Smith, also a statement. I am a teacher in the district. Good evening, Superintendent Scribner and board members. I am a teacher in the district and have some issues to bring to your attention this evening. First of all, I have opted to send in my statement rather than speak for myself because I was without internet for over an hour today while on campus. Therefore, I'm spending my evening using the reliable internet in my home to catch up on work that I'm unable to do in the environment that the district has provided me with. According to the published board meeting agenda, you all are meant to approve a ratification of support services for network connectivity. I'm not entirely sure what that entails, but I desperately hope that it involves solving connectivity issues that teachers and students are facing on a daily basis. It is my understanding that we opened the schools, at least in part, for the sake of equitable access for all students. I show support for this decision and risk my health and the health of my family every day that I come to work. However, when my school's network infrastructure is so bad that teachers and students are losing connectivity for extended periods of class time, it makes it difficult to the equity. Thank you for your time. The next speaker will be Talal Siddiqui. Are you there? Talal Siddiqui?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear
begin.
me?
Yes, sir, you may begin.
My name is Talal Siddiq, and I'm a intensive care physician that has directly treated hundreds of COVID patients, if not thousands. I have 2 school-going kids in Fort Worth ISD, and we love our school. We actually moved into this area due to very good reputation of the schools. I want to talk a little bit about virtual platform, and I want to use my example as a leader in healthcare industry. When this all pandemic hit, we went through same stuff as ISD is going. All the in-person meetings had to be changed to virtual meetings, and no one knew what to do. But we did not get 5 or 6 months to prepare like our ISDs did, and we agree that I agree that this situation is very fluid to uh, to to include the kids that are getting virtual education feel like they are part of the school. Um, and I remain appreciative of ISD, its admin, its board, and teachers, most importantly, in how they further the education of our kids. But I am very deeply concerned about when the school, um, before the school reopened after summer vacation, we got a couple of emails discouraging us not to send the to send the kids to school because teachers would have a difficult time to educate both in-person attending students and the virtual platform students. And I realize it is difficult and it's new. It is something no one has ever done before. But I think I'm coming from a bottom line that all kids should feel that there's one uniform standard of education across the board, and it should be independent of if you are in person or virtual. And that is not the case, as some other speakers have described as well. My first graders' education hours are basically when the in-person students are on break or during the lunch hour of the teacher. And that is not acceptable to a lot of parents. So I I would urge you to
Mr. Sadiq, your
reconsider.
time has expired, sir.
Thank you.
Next speaker will be Jennifer Traeger. Ms. Traeger, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
You may begin.
Okay. Fort Worth ISD finally opened its doors to students on October 5th. Many students were out of the classrooms for nearly 215 days. While some choose to stay virtual, the ones that have been back in the classroom learning face-to-face are thriving. The students are engaged, they're happy, they're eager to learn, and have found a daily purpose again. It was definitely a roller coaster to get the doors open, as you all can agree with. Multiple long board meetings that ended in the early morning hours, countless emails and phone calls, and planning, replanning, and planning again. A group of moms came together and helped many teachers in Fort Worth ISD get ready for the students to come back safely. Teachers had multiple requests that would make them and their students feel safe and be prepared to succeed. In less than 10 days, this group raised over $100,000 in purchased items. Imagine what could have been done over the 215 days the students were out of school. The planning and execution that could have taken place would have been exponential. Many in the community want to help, have helped, and continue to help. The students of Fort Worth ISD are the future employees of tomorrow. These students need to be educated so that they are responsible citizens with jobs. Allowing schools to be open to choice allows many of these students that chance to continue to grow, learn, and have responsibilities. Along with this, students' parents are able to go work and not worry about their child being home alone and managing schoolwork if he or she is even logging on. In data recently obtained by the Tarrant County Medical Examiner, adolescent suicides, homicides, and overdoses have increased tremendously. By keeping schools open with the choice of in-person, hopefully these numbers begin to go down. As current data states, kids aged 0 to 17 COVID-19 deaths. The flu has killed more than 100 kids aged 0 to 17 in 8 of the past 9 seasons. Does anyone remember an outcry to close schools when 1,161 0 to 17-year-olds died from the 12 to 13 flu? As you can see, there are a myriad of benefits of school in person and keeping schools open. I hope that each of you see the benefits and continue to encourage the Fort Worth ISD staff, admin, and teachers to continue educating the future generation. In regards to the TRE, this district has an operating budget of nearly $1 billion with $115 million spent on debt services. Having lost over 10,000 students this year, this results in a $100 million loss, equaling a 9.9% budget deficit for the year. Throwing more money at a problem does not always help. Fort Worth ISD only scored 79% from the TEA. More time should be spent, not money. Time spent on coordination, planning, execution, and finding solutions. Transparency by our district has been terrible, management has been poor, and asking for a permanent tax increase during a pandemic and market downturn is not the time to ask your taxpayers for a tax increase. Thank you for your time.
Clint, you're on mute.
Sorry. Our next speaker is Tiffany Rogers. Ms. Rogers, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, you may begin.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Tiffany Rogers, and like many others this evening, I am coming to you as a parent of a student that's participating in the virtual option. And I want to let you know how grateful I am for this option. I'm also grateful for my daughter's teachers that have been engaging her so well thus far. I know it's a struggle, and I appreciate it. I do not know that we would have felt safe with her returning in person no matter what at this point, but her school has a very high percentage of kids that did choose to return in person, so it felt much more like a risk that we were not willing to take. I realize that we are extremely fortunate to be able to keep her home and that many do not have that option. The responsibility of knowing that we should help our community by keeping one more student out of the building so that social distance protocols are a little bit easier was a part of our decision. And it has not been easy. She sees most of her friends back at school while she is home doing her work alone. But she's also been a team player and trusted her parents. I give you this information so that you know that we absolutely want to return in person when it is safe for our family to do so, but also to voice some concerns over the virtual experience overall. As the weeks have passed and more students have phased in, we have definitely seen a change on the virtual side. Due to the low number of virtual learners at our particular school, there is not a dedicated virtual teacher, and the in-person learners are most definitely getting a different experience. While my daughter's teachers have been amazing, they are human and they have limits. I am simply asking for equity across the district. In-person learning, as you know, was put in place to give students who do not have access to internet, devices, or a guardian at home a place to learn. The experience should be that they learn in the same way virtual learners are doing, just in a safe building with the accessibility that they need. Virtual learning should not be a detriment to those that chose it. I'm definitely not trying to take away anyone's choice to be in person. I am just pleading with you to make sure that both in-person and virtual students be treated with equity and fidelity in learning. I believe that starts with data from the assessments broken down by school, grade, and virtual versus in-person. Without that data, we can't begin to have equity. I also believe that starts with a very structured plan, a plan that ensures protections for students, staff, and you as our school board trustees. If a dedicated virtual team is not available at schools, I implore you to have aids available that can be made available for the asynchronous learning portion in case children have questions. I'd like to end by saying that I am wholeheartedly supportive of our teachers and of you. And I want you to know that I am extending much grace as things change daily, and I appreciate the same. I hope to be a part of the solution as we work to make learning in Fort Worth ISD the best it can be. Thank you for your time.
Our next speaker is Yanira Borja. Are you there? Yanira Borja?
You guys just unmuted me, but
Unmute.
not me.
Hello. Can you hear me now?
Yes? You
Hello.
are.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Awesome. Thank you. My name is Yanira Borges. I am a mother of 2 kids at Fort Worth ISD. I'm also a small business owner, a community leader, and just really engaged in our community. It's an honor and a privilege to even have this space where we can have dialogue about this. So thank you everyone for your time. I know you'd all rather be somewhere else, just like I would. So thank you for being here. And really, I'm here to echo some of the things that have already been said. We have chosen to remain virtual learning for various reasons, and they are health reasons. I have an immunocompromised mother, my mother, who lives here, who recently actually had a heart attack, and she totally cannot jeopardize catching COVID, right? So that's why we're home, and I wish I didn't have to defend it that way, but for whatever reason, we were remaining this way, and we were given an option. And now it feels like it's not really an option, like it's more just like a punishment because I didn't go in person. And I know that's not the case. I know everyone is trying and working so hard. I'm here trying to advocate for my family as well as for the teachers. My first grade son had an amazing teacher. While we were all virtual, it was going, right? It's not perfect, but they were learning and they were engaging, and she was great. They switched to hybrid, and the teacher was still rocking, still doing incredible things. A teacher who herself had COVID the first week of school. So I'm really glad we weren't in school that first week. And then most recently, like, she just couldn't do it anymore. She could not keep going with the hybrid method. And it's painful to see because there's a lot of stressors. You know, as everyone's mentioned, there's internet connectivity. You're trying to keep your kids in person safe and the kids at home. Just get later on. we get gotten to later because what's in front of you is what takes priority. So we have definitely felt incredible teachers just like be ripped away from us in a way as the in-person started. And we're heartbroken. We don't want to go anywhere else. We can't really afford to. Trying to run my business and keep our children, you know, sane. So we suffered a lot when things changed recently to asynchronous learning, like you've heard. A 7-year-old can barely manage those things, and I can't work. So it's very difficult, and we're here asking for help for us, for families, help for the teachers who can like barely be asked to do all the things they're already doing. They themselves are trying to keep their families safe and keep our families safe, and it's impossible for them to focus on like online and in person well. So I've seen other districts in other states do things where they have a virtual academy where they group kids from different schools even, and that's what we're trying to we're just trying to put out ideas and want different ideas. This doesn't feel like it's enough. It doesn't feel fair.
Ma'am, your
And
time has expired. Thank you.
thank you.
Mr. Ramos, that completes the list of registered speakers.
Thank you, Mr. Bond, and thank you everyone for sharing your thoughts with us this evening. We will be moving on to item number 4, which is reports and presentations. I'll turn it over to Dr. Scribner so that he can give us a Lone Star governance report.
Thank you very much, President Ramos. Appreciate this opportunity. We actually have 2 presentations tonight. The first is our Lone Star Governance emergency constraints that we've put together as a result of the unprecedented journey that we've all been on since March. And you'll remember just prior to the school closures and ultimately the governor indicating that students would not return to public schools in Texas for the remainder of the 1920 school year. It was in February when our trustees met at the Women's Club to establish board goals and their corresponding constraints. Then, as you know, soon after we had a very productive meeting at the Women's Club, COVID-19 hit. Thankfully, the TEA Governance Division, recognizing that we are all pivoting to a new reality, introduced the concept of emergency constraints. And if we can click to the next slide. Thank you for your patience. All right, so it was after the TEA indicated that we would have the flexibility to introduce the concept of emergency constraints. Our board identified 3 priorities. Access to learning for all students, and you see that is a difficult bar to clear. We're working very hard there. Health and safety of students, families, and staff. And we added a 3rd, transparency and stakeholder communication. So during our emergency constraint board workshops, which took place throughout the spring and summer, we landed on these 3 foundational priorities. Karen? There you go.
Okay, there we go. All right.
Thank you.
Apologize. So Yes, during this time, TA did provide us guidance for two key focus areas for our school boards and to monitor during this school closure. You'll see that access to learning as well as health and safety were recommended by TEA. At that time, during the spring, our board trustees worked very hard to put emergency constraints in place around access to learning and health and safety. The first one, access to learning for all students, Dr. Scribner is going to share how we're progressing.
So with regard to our enrollment update, which I think is the next slide, Karen, we are much like many other large urban school districts. I know there have been many numbers that have been thrown around, but we in Fort Worth ISD have experienced about a 4.5% dip in our enrollment. And this is within the range of other large urbans. I serve as the chair of the Texas Urban Council, an organization representing the large urbans across our state, Houston ISD, Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, San Antonio, and others. And the range of enrollment decreases around 4 to 6%. Again, primarily in pre-K and kindergarten. As we know, those grades are not mandatory in Texas. And you heard that many parents are choosing to keep their younger learners at home. These data are as of the 19th of October, which is the first day, yesterday, the first day all students could access in-person learning, and we expect to see those increase. This also is a national trend represented through districts across the nation. Again, the Council of Great City Schools has demonstrated very similar ranges in the percentage dip. Karen, the next one, please. So parents have a choice, and it is our practice as we present this choice to isolate race when reviewing the data. So as you can see, in the aggregate, about half of our students are choosing in person, the other half virtual. And if we look at the different subgroups, we can see the differences there. About 40% of our African American students are choosing in person, 60% virtual. Hispanic students, Latinx students, about closer to 50-50, 46 in person, 54 virtual. Our white students, 62% in person, 38% virtual, and you see the other percentages there as well. Looking at the general enrollment breakdown, you can see about 47% of the total number are choosing in-person hybrid and 53% virtual. This is from our total enrollment, and we've given you these data points broken down by our subgroups there, that chart as well. Karen.
Apologize, I'm having technical difficulty this evening. Our next slide shows our first week of school, which you'll see started on September. It takes 3 days our teachers have 3 days to be able to take attendance. So you'll see that on our first week of school, our elementary attendance was at a 94%, and that as of 9/11. Our secondary attendance is at 97.1%. Just as you heard earlier with our public comment, we have asynchronous, which is the self-paced model, as well as it's supported daily by our synchronous interactions as well. These numbers are student attendance; they're unduplicated, and they're also compared to the number of students that are enrolled in Fort Worth ISD. Mr. Moore is going to share next some slides about our average daily attendance.
Thank you very much. Average daily attendance for our students as from September 8th through October 16th was averaging 93.2% for all students. You'll see here on this slide how that was broken down by our in-person students and a combination of in-person and hybrid. And we've also shared that information what our elementary students, 91.8% for students who are attending virtually every day, compared to 93.4% of our secondary students who are attending virtually every day. Wanted to share with you a comparison between attendance rate for students who are coming to school in person versus those who are choosing to stay at home in a virtual environment. On the next slide, we wanted to get more specific to what has happened since we've transitioned students back to this to in-person as we split between in-person and virtual. 92% of all students are showing their attendance, average daily attendance. For those that are selecting in-person, 92.4%, and then you can see the elementary and secondary breakdown of those students who selected to attend school in a virtual environment. Our average daily attendance action steps, in accordance with the Texas Education Agency, we extend a minimum funding guarantee for the entire first half of the school year. So they have given us the opportunity to work specifically with our students in both this in-person and virtual environment to ensure that we can increase our attendance in this first part of the year. Our enrollment indicators and focus are accurately tracking both virtual and in-person enrollment. We've put cohorts of students together so that we can effectively track students who are in-person, students who are receiving virtual instruction, and then at the high school level, those students who are enrolled in one of the hybrid cohorts. We also have implementation of a process to manage transitions between virtual and in-person enrollment for students who may make the choice at the 6th grading period to change the environment that they're receiving their instruction. We also want to develop a plan to specifically address average daily attendance for elementary students enrolled in virtual learning. We wanted to make sure that we connect with all of those students. We track the attendance of those students on a daily basis, and the information that we're recording is accurate, whether those students be connecting synchronously or asynchronously.
And of course, our number one priority is the health and safety of everyone in our campus, on our campuses, our students, their families, our faculty and staff. We'd like to go over with you some of the state and local PPE allotments. As you can see, and I think one of the speakers correctly noted that the CARES Act dollars flowed through the state, and as a result, the state was able to provide districts with their personal protective equipment. Here we have, we've received from the state over 740,000 disposable masks, 185,000 reusable masks, almost 9,000, almost 10,000 face shields, 335,000 pairs of gloves, over 600 thermometers, and about 8,700 gallons of hand sanitizer. And we'll just show you here on the next slide how we're dispersing that PPE, the PPE distribution to campuses. So this is just our first monthly allotment, and it eats up about the same amount that was provided to us by the state. So as you can see, we are already replenishing these supplies for the months ahead. And so the additional investment, not only with regard to connectivity and devices, we have spent about $5 campuses, and that cost will continue moving forward.
We also wanted to share with you that we have those that we have asked .1%. We're looking around 8,700, over 8,700 of our campus-based staff that have completed. When you look at a district-wide staff, we're at 93.7%, 94%. We are working with the areas we have identified. We have currently around 11,593 employees, that you're seeing about 10,858 employees who haven't completed. Every day we are working to get this to 100%. We have put in place some different action steps to help our transportation department, our nutrition services, who may not have access to complete those online videos. So we want to share that with you this evening. We have 100% of our school resource officers, our SROs, have completed the 2 required COVID-19 trainings in addition to our cybersecurity training. And we would like to share, in addition to that, that's our SROs and our part-time hourly police officers that we partner with the City of Fort Worth. And our SROs have recently completed our Beyond Diversity Courageous Conversations training that was facilitated and led by our Racial Equity Department, Ms. Freed, and her specialists. So there is about safety, but then of course there's social and emotional learning, which should not be placed in isolation. You'll see that for our SEL training that we have over 224 FTE counselors, 81 intervention specialists, and restorative practices, we have 4 specialists and 1 coordinator. However, this is not done in isolation. This is embedded actually into our curriculum on a daily basis, and Mr. Moore is going to share more of that with you.
This is actually one of the areas that we are most proud of the work that we've come together as a district to focus on during this time. For the past several years, our systemic approach to social emotional learning has been called the First 5, where our teachers take the first 5 days of school to focus on social emotional learning of their students, building relationships, establishing classroom culture and climate, and developing respect agreements in the classroom. But one of the things that we learned from this work was it was great for the first fell off. The recognition that we have to be purposeful, especially during this time, especially after several months of students not being in the schools with us, from our students and families being in such a stressful environment, that we have to focus on their social and emotional health. We purposefully embedded our social emotional lessons into our curriculum this year. So it's not just for the first week, but it's all year long, and it's connected to their learning. At each grade level, at each content area, we've had a cross-functional team between academics, equity and excellence, and student support services come together to build connections for students learning to their social and emotional well-being. We have weekly SEL lessons that are embedded in the curriculum, and we recognize that our students and teachers need that consistent support for their learners. We also realized during this time that our social and emotional learning needed to all hands on deck approach. It wasn't just one group in isolation, or in this instance, 3 groups separately going around a different approach. We actually put this cross-functional team together. We're starting in April. We took the leadership of our restorative practices, our equity and excellence team, where they began with weekly SEL lessons, both in English and Spanish, on a Facebook platform. We took that approach and expanded that, and talked about how we could continue to support students as they come back to our classroom. Right now, we're currently exploring methods on how to track our social emotional learning engagement, whether that's embedded into our curriculum framework, and also those that we're using in the restorative practices platform. And actually on tonight's agenda, you'll see an item for Panorama. Panorama is a platform that allows us to track our data, but also gives us the ability to survey not just our students, but our teachers and our families, and collect areas of support that we can provide greater resources for those families. Our Equity and Excellence Department has established a goal for themselves for this cross-functional team also to increase their Facebook reach by stakeholders by over 50% as of May 31st of 2021. So we'll continue to support that effort across the district approach. And then finally, in this spring, we also launched the Social Emotional Wellbeing Project. This is the result of that cross-functional team, the 3 different areas within the district coming together for a singular focus that put a resource out, not just for our students, but for our teachers, and for our families, where you will see here different areas of well-being that we're supporting both our employees, our family in the community, and also our students, that's helping to make those connections for their social.
And finally, our third priority selected by the board was transparency and stakeholder communication. And as we all know, and certainly learn every day, in a global pandemic, we certainly can never over communicate. So this constraint on transparency and communication, that the superintendent shall not reduce transparency and communication regarding the impact of strategic initiatives on student learning, and the complications that all districts are encountering need to be met head on, and we need to have continuous communication in order to achieve those.
We want to share with you some of our steps for our transparency and communication. And one of them is our goal progress monitoring report. You'll see here we have our student outcome goal progress report 4 times annually for each goal. Goal 1 being early literacy, early math, and goal 3 is college, career, and military readiness. Continue through our school year to bring you our progress monitoring calendar. This board calendar, of course, includes our dates, our report topics, as well as our data focus for each of the goals that we're monitoring. We'll meet those progress monitoring requirements through Lone Star governance and House Bill 3. We really feel like this solidifies our commitment to transparency and communication, and we like to cultivate a student outcome-driven Fort Worth ISD community that's unified, engaged, as well as informed through the progress monitoring calendar.
And our parents as partners philosophy, we now have almost 37,000 total active parent portal accounts. So this will become a new baseline for the 2021 school year. Parent portal usage is a key strategy for promoting parent engagement as partners in education to improve student outcomes. That is what we're here for. Right now, it represents almost 48% of active parent portal accounts, based on our first day of choice enrollment on the 19th of October, yesterday. We expect these numbers to continue to increase under the newly formed Department of Parent Partnership, led very proactively by Marta Plata.
You'll see here on this slide, it's called Let's Talk. Many of you have used this platform. We started this platform when we were doing our boundary meetings in our town halls, and we have continued to do that through our pandemic of COVID-19. You'll see here that we're very committed to getting feedback from our stakeholders, but what we're more committed to is the customer service that we're bringing to our stakeholders. We invite them to submit those questions and those concerns. But what we're doing is we're tracking that experience to make sure we're meeting those needs by department. And you'll see that when you participate in a Let's Talk, you're able to give us feedback and rate our response time, as well as our how you felt like our customer service was. Our baseline at this point is a 7.1. We hope to increase that. We feel like what is monitored gets done. So each department will be participating with this Let's Talk feedback.
So finally, what's next? Our work moving forward will be on Goal 2, our early math goal. The December 8th board meeting, we will report our focus on Goal 2 early math. We'll be reviewing data results before the beginning of our yearly MAP growth assessments, and we were pleased with the progress we made last year, and disappointed we were unable to take the STAR test, in fact. But that concludes this portion of the presentation. And at this time, if the board has questions, comments, or suggestions, we'd like to entertain those at this time.
So I'll look to my colleagues to use the participant portion to raise your hand. So it looks like we've got Trustee CJ Evans up first.
Okay. I just wanted to say, one, I'm very happy to know we're going to be updated 4 times a year. I can't hear you. Everybody needs to mute. I'm muted. I think. I'm sorry. Sorry, is that better? Okay, sorry. All right, I'll start over. First, I'm very happy to hear we'll be updated 4 times a year on those goals. Looking forward to those updates. And I had a quick question about, I think it was slide 12. And it was something about through the first half of the year. And I didn't quite catch all that.
Was that about the PPE allotment?
No, well, I don't know, and I can't, it's not on my screen anymore.
Slide 12 is the PPE allotment.
Okay. And is that only through the first half of the year? Is that?
Yes. So the state PPE allotment is what we have received through the CARES Act support from the Governor's Strike Force and the Texas Department of Emergency Management. The following slide is our monthly, our first monthly allotment. So we're going to have to replenish this and continue to replenish these supplies. As was pointed out earlier, we spent over $5 million this summer getting ready. Those costs, those expenditures will continue. What you see on the screen right now is a monthly allotment, and we'll have to continue to replenish those supplies every month moving forward through the remainder of the school year.
Okay, thank you. And that actually, I think that it was slide 14 or so. Could you go back where it says 12 on the? There we go.
So Ms. Evans, I think your
Yes.
question is around the funding.
Yes.
So TEA guarantees us the funding for, they actually just released on October 1st, an additional 6 weeks. So they took our ADA from last year and they had an average. And then they gave us the first 12 weeks. And then on October the 1st, they gave us an additional 6 weeks. That regardless of our ADA, our daily ADA, they'll guarantee that funding to us as a district.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Evans. Next, we have Trustee Andar.
Thank you, President Ramos. Can you hear me? Okay, I can hardly hear me, but I'm glad you can hear me. Thank you for this presentation. I'm thrilled to see all those pictures of kids. It makes my heart happy to see all those pictures of kids. I am expected that our enrollment would be down just a little bit. I know that that is not unique to Fort Worth ISD. This is a statewide issue. My concern is not that the enrollment is down. I want to know that we're accounting for the students that are not participating in Fort Worth ISD at this time. So I know that some have moved to charter schools or some have moved to other locations. And I'm not worried about those kids. We certainly miss them, but I know that they're getting an education. Do we have students that are we finding the kids that we can't account for? Does that make sense?
Before the team jumps in, I think our data, and we certainly can share this with the trustees, indicates that the lion's share of those students, the drop in enrollment is in the early grades, in kindergarten, pre-K, and kindergarten, and those grade levels that are not mandatory, and parents are choosing to keep their students home. If Jerry, could you augment on that?
Certainly. And Dr. Scribner is exactly right. When we look at the approximately 4,000 students that we are looking for, almost 3,000 of those students come from our pre-K and kindergarten enrollment. What we're learning from families is they're not choosing to enroll their students right now when it's not mandatory by the state, when they have to look at this either choosing in-person or virtual. So we're still continuing to do outreach for any student that we're not connecting with. Actually, our secondary numbers are showing an increase in the number of students, which is a positive trend. So we have our campuses and our support department still continuing to reach out. What we'll continue to do through our early learning department is to reach out to those families to make sure they understand the high quality experiences we're still providing, whether in person or virtual, for our earliest.
Well, and that's just kind of looking ahead. That's going to put us in a different position next year when we have students that are starting school who haven't attended pre-K or kindergarten. So I hope that we're looking forward to how to integrate them into schools and make sure that they're functioning at the level that they need to be functioning. So that's a big deal.
It certainly is. Actually, one of the things that we've done this year in preparation for this environment is we've aligned our kindergarten programming Previously in early learning, we had a pre-K K1 approach to early learning. We focused our early learning program on pre-K specifically and better aligned our kindergarten through fifth grade elementary instructional environment so that we can really stay focused on what are the expectations of our students in kindergarten and how we're preparing, whether those are students that went to pre-K in Fort Worth ISD or students that did not attend pre-K. We know students are better prepared for kindergarten if they participate in our pre-K, but we're also looking at our kindergarten teachers to catch any student up that may not.
Thank you. I am 53% of our students are learning virtually. That's a really high percentage. And I'm not, I think that's great that they have this option because clearly that is where families feel like their children need to be learning. They have a choice and they have made that choice. It also makes the comments that we listened to this evening resonate even louder in my head because of parents wanting to make sure that their child is continuing to get a good virtual education. And there's not really a question here. But, and I know that some schools have a handful of kids that are learning virtual, and other schools have the majority of their students that are learning virtually. So there's certainly not a one-size-fits-all solution to anything that we have to offer. But it is interesting to me that 53% are still choosing to learn virtually. Is a question, is Snapshot Day still on October 30th? So the state has, it is still October 30th. Okay. And I want to give a shout out. Got their microphone. Okay, here we go. I want to give a shout out to our school resource officers for committing the time to do the COVID training, do the cybersecurity training. I've done both of those trainings as a board. We did those trainings too. I felt like I had a degree in cybersecurity after the lengthy cybersecurity training that we did. It was good. And then also the Beyond Diversity training. I think that I think too often we don't recognize our SROs as we should, and so I appreciate the time commitment they put in to doing that. And I would also love to know how I can help promote the restorative practices on Facebook. Let's get the word out. I would love to help them meet their goal to increase their reach on Facebook or wherever it is that they choose to reach. Let me know how I can help with that. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Dar. Next, we have Trustee Robbins.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Good. I believe you said we had nearly 37,000 parent portal users, which I also believe you said was 48%, which surprised me. I thought 37,000 parents, maybe two kids. I thought that'd be, how many parents do we have? How many, if we were at 100%, how many parent portals would we have?
So, Mr. Robbins, I think what I hear you asking us is for maybe families who have two parents, if both parents are registering for parent portal versus just one.
No, I would assume it'd just be one per family, but.
Right. So you're asking like duplicate. So someone who may have multiple children in the household, but the parent is only counted once. So let's say if I had more than one child, I would still only count and that count as one time. Right. So we don't have that data this evening, but I can get it to you. How many total parents, total users, because you only register for parent portal one time, but then you have access to all of your students.
I guess I thought 37,000 parent portal users would be a lot more than 48% of our families. So that's my question.
I hear your comment, Mr. Robbins, and we will definitely dig into that and get a number of total parents that we have for our students and do that comparison.
Well, I just wanted to know if we had 100% of our parent portal usage, what would that be? I don't care if it's one parent or two parents.
Certainly. I understand your question.
Thank you. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Robbins. Next, we have Trustee Toby Jackson.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me? I have just a few questions. We talked about the stratification of schools with regard to attendance. How do we know that pre-K students are missing? Were they enrolled last year and they opted not to come this year?
Yeah, great question. No, that's not what we did. Is we took a number of pre-K students that were enrolled last year and compared our enrollment from last year to those that enrolled this year, and that's where we're getting the number of students that were down in our enrollment. We didn't know how many pre-K students would necessarily be here this year. It's just a comparison to what our numbers told us from last year.
And do those correlate with Templeton?
They do correlate. We have correlated those with our demographic projections. That's correct.
Okay, thank you. The second question is 85% economically disadvantaged. We usually 90s, aren't we? Or are we not?
No, ma'am, and Karen, feel free to jump in here. I think this past year is when we got up to the 80%, in the upper 80 percentage, and so the 85% is correlating with where we were. We started doing online enrollment and started identifying more of our students as that economically disadvantaged.
In fact, the economically disadvantaged percentage in 2015 was 77%. So it's actually grown since 2015 till today from 77% now to 85.
Well, and part of that is because we've gone electronic, right? And we can access the data.
That's a big part of it.
Okay, the third question is, it looks like from the first, for all students, hybrid in-person, elementary, secondary, virtual, everybody's down between 1.05 and 1.2%. Do we know why? Is that something we don't, it's just an anomaly, but it looks like everybody's down 1%.
That's actually one of the areas that we're studying right now. We've been looking at our attendance tracking information that we provided to our campuses. We're trying to make sure that we have accurate attendance tracking. We're confident in the process that we have in place, but now we're trying to study at each campus why we're seeing a dip in attendance. The theory was, if we're virtual, should we be increasing the number of students that are connecting? We're not seeing that trend. So we're actually talking with our principals to identify those attendance trends at each of their campuses.
I've been really impressed with, at least in the second district, William James, especially Meadowbrook. They are hustling. Eastern Hills Poly, they are really hustling to find their kids, and I love that. The last thing is on the parent portal, you talk about percent engaged. That means I enrolled, but do we have percentage usage on a regular basis? I mean, I enrolled, but maybe I don't ever use it. So I'd like to see the number of if we're really engaging people. And I don't know if that's an easy number or a hard number, but if it's possible, it'd be nice to see.
I'll track that with Mr. Robbins' question as well.
Hey, and this was an awesome presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Jackson. Next, we have Trustee Brookins.
Okay. I'd like to go back to slide 21, the SEL learning. Is this something that's offered district-wide to every school, or is it certain locations? And what exactly does that look like? Is that a social worker in every school, or I don't know what that looks like. And my other question is, are the parents aware that we are providing these services? I just recently went to a neighborhood associations meeting, and several of the people who were in the meeting in the community were not aware. So I wanted to make sure, how do we get this out to the community so they are aware that these services are being offered?
Sure. Great question, Trustee Brookins. And one, I would say we can always continue to communicate and get the message out in a broader perspective. First of all, this is a resource that is available at every campus across the district. Not only have we embedded social emotional lessons in our curriculum that all teachers are implementing at every campus, but we speak specifically of the work of our restorative practices team. And the work that's happening on Facebook, on social media, that is something that is available across the district. This cross-functional team that I was sharing with you put this information together when we started back to the school year 100% in virtual learning. It was actually a resource we put into our parent training, into our parent resource kit that we put online. So that's one of the ways that we're trying to get the information out to our parents, is when you start looking at how can you support your learners that are virtual or now that are virtual or in person, here are some of the resources and here is a way that we can connect your social emotional support for you, not only in the classroom, but from a community perspective as well. It's something we will continue to work with our school counselors from student and school support, our restorative practices from equity and excellence, our educational psychology department from academics, and continue to make those connections for our family.
Thank you. Great presentation.
Thank you. Looks like we have Trustee Luebanos.
Thank you, President Ramos. Can you all hear me? On that same slide, do we know how many people are engaging on the SEL?
I know that we do. I don't have that data in front of me. That's a conversation I need to have with Mrs. Breed, and we can definitely collect that information for you. That's one of the things her team is tracking. Her team is taking the lead on these Facebook communications. And we'd be glad to get that information for you.
If we can get a breakdown on the ones in English and the ones in Spanish.
Sure. Yes, sir, we could do that.
Thank you.
Okay. Looks like that's it, and appreciate it's been a minute since we've seen a good Lone Star governance report. We've been in crisis mode, and just for everyone's continued education and awareness, is the LSG is a framework that gets us at least half of our time on student outcomes. It's also one where we as a board are now doing more work on monitoring our minutes, getting back to trying to get in a functioning time frame of the 2 to 3 hour range minus public comment and executive session, things of that nature. So appreciate you getting us back to that. Looks like we've got one more presentation about the voter approval tax ratification election. Dr. Scribner, if you and your team will take us onto that.
Yes, thank you very much, President Ramos and Board of Trustees and Fort Worth ISD school community. We want to Can you hear me now? Okay, well, thank you very much for this opportunity to provide information on the voter approval TRE tax ratification election to this Board of Trustees and our entire Fort Worth ISD school community. As you know, we have been on an unprecedented journey that started on March the 6th. March the 6th was the last day that our 80,000 students attended in-person instruction in the traditional way that we've always thought about schooling. And as you know, that was well over 7 months ago. We quickly pivoted to a virtual environment. That was the week before spring break. During spring break, several of us communicated with our county health officials with the onset of COVID-19 in Fort Worth. We originally thought that we would be closed for 1 week, and then it was a 2-week closure, followed by a declaration that we would be closed indefinitely, and then ultimately Governor Abbott closed our schools to the public for the remainder of the school year. We pivoted to virtual. All of our teachers, including our 20 and 30-year veterans, became new teachers. And first-year teachers, really, the first time they'd ever had instruction, had provided instruction from their homes in a fully virtual format. It was a bit bumpy last spring. We learned a lot, and we'll tell you a little bit more about what this year has looked like. As I mentioned earlier in the previous presentation, we were on an upward trajectory. We were seeing some great gains, and of all the districts that I serve on the Texas Urban Council, we probably were the most disappointed that we were unable to show what we had learned. As you'll remember, when the A through F system was implemented, we have to remember where we came from. We scored initially a 67 from that 2017 year to the next. We saw an 8-point growth. In fact, we were recognized by the Commissioner of Education as one of two top urban districts in growth, seeing an 8-point growth. We almost grew 5 points between 18 and 19. We missed becoming a B, letter grade B school by 0.1%. And as I said earlier, we expected clearly to break that mark, but that's not the goal. The goal is to not be a B district. The goal is to become an A district. And as we saw last year, a higher level of passing rates in our end of course for our high schoolers in English, algebra, and biology. Our benchmarks, middle of the year benchmarks, saw increased student performance in all subjects at all levels, elementary, middle, and high school. And of course, the nationally normed assessment, the MAP, saw significantly more students exceeding their projected growth last year than we had in the previous year. And we expect, once things get back to some sense of normalcy, we expect those trends to continue. 2020 has clearly been a year like no other. Our seniors last spring, did not have their senior proms, did not have an in-person graduation. We had virtual graduations. Then ultimately, in the middle of June, we were able to organize outdoor voluntary graduation celebrations. And the 2020 fall started with a great deal of consternation and communication. We'll talk about that in just a moment. We were provided with the whereby the guidelines from the TEA authorize the superintendent to call for 4 weeks of virtual instruction as we began the school year. You'll remember the marathon board meetings that we had discussing whether or not we would continue that. We had a original first day of school that was set by the calendar committee on August the 17th. Our board voted to postpone that till September the 8th, the day after Labor Day. We wanted to make sure we would have a knowledge of whether or not there would be a Labor Day spike in cases, and that's where the four-week clock began. And then virtual instruction took place in the month of September, and it was virtual instruction 2.0. We received much more positive feedback than negative during the September month of in-person. In fact, our own 7th grader experienced that, as well as many of the trustees' children as well. We know that we had a marathon board meeting that started on September 22nd and ended on September 23rd. This was not atypical, though. As I said, I serve also on the Council of Great City Schools superintendent group in each one of those districts from across the nation, and in not only Fort Worth or Dallas, but Chicago, Miami, Los Angeles, and New York all experienced marathon board meetings. This is a very difficult decision, passion on both sides of this issue, and ultimately this board chose a phase-in approach. You'll remember on October the 5th, we welcomed back our pre-K, kinder, and first graders, basically all students who are new to a school building, 6th graders, 9th graders, of course our special education students who are much more effectively instructed in person. Of our 13 pyramids, we have 4 of those 13 pyramids that have a 6th grade center. So in those communities, some 7th graders began on October the 5th. Last week, we added additional grades at the elementary, at the middle, and 10th grade at the high school. And then yesterday, all students had the option to attend in-person instruction, and you saw those numbers. About half of the students are choosing in-person, and the other half will continue virtual. A very wise decision was made many years ago by an administration prior to the one that I serve in, and by a previous board as well, to invest in the one-to-one dig-in program, a $13 million investment. Well, we replicated that investment in just a few months. In addition to the $13 million that we spend to keep the dig-in program up and running and refreshing those computers, this board authorized us to invest an additional $13 million, an unexpected expense, by the way, that resulted in 63,000 devices and 21,000 corresponding hotspots. We need those hotspots because in some portions of our city, we just don't have a robust and reliable broadband access. And you'll notice that 63,000 devices, that's not the 80,000 students that we have. We really want to continue to become a one-to-one school district. That dig-in program provided a device for every student from 6th grade to the 12th grade. We've been able to push that down so every household has at least one, in some cases more than one device. We want to get it to a place where all 80,000 students have a device, that the younger learners have an age-appropriate tablet, for example, in the kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade, and then a Chromebook for the intermediate grades, the middle years, and the high schools. And that costs money. That requires investment. And as I said, when we look at our students, our 89% of our students are students of color. As was mentioned by several of the trustees, our economically disadvantaged percentage is 85%. So 4 out of 5 of our students qualify for free and reduced lunch. And as you know, that's a formula, a family of 4 living on $30,000 or less annually. And you've heard me say it many times before, that our students are not problems to be solved, rather they're assets to be invested in. And I've been notified by the Fort Worth Chamber, by the Fort Worth Metropolitan Black Chamber, and the Fort Worth Hispanic Chamber that they are all endorsing and supportive of this tax rate election. And why would that be? Well, we believe it's an extremely reasonable proposal. When we look at the 21 districts in Tarrant County, there are 21 districts in Tarrant County, and Fort Worth currently falls in the 19th spot in terms of our investment in our students. The tax rate, the school tax rate, is in the 19th spot. And I find that curious, given the fact that we are the largest school district in Tarrant County, certainly with the highest percentage of economically disadvantaged students, and clearly among the most diverse student populations. And as we think about that, we're the largest, most diverse student population. We do believe it warrants a significant investment in our future, because our students, as was stated also earlier this evening, they are the future workforce. They are the future leadership of this city and of this region. So why do we think it's a reasonable proposal? First of all, several of the surrounding districts have already passed a tax rate election. We want to remain competitive with them. But should this TRE pass, we would move to the 13th position, from 19 to 13. Not the top of the list, not to the top 10, heck, not even to the top half. We would be the 13th in Tarrant County, up from 19. And what would that mean to our homeowners? Well, the average home in Fort Worth ISD is valued at $167,000. So for that homeowner, he or she would see a $13 a month average increase. If we were to double that and say $1,000 house, well, that homeowner would be paying about $26 extra a month, and less than $1 a day. $26 increase on a $330,000 house. That's less than $1 a day. And let's talk about that dollar. For every dollar that's raised locally, the state would reward that effort with 50 cents on every dollar invested here locally. So we would actually see more of those dollars returning to Fort Worth. Right now, as property values increase, the state contribution decreases. This would allow some of those dollars that are now going to Austin to return to Fort Worth at 50 cents on the dollar. And of course, any homeowner who is 65 or older would see no impact, no change, no increase in their property tax rate. So locally, we'd raise $44 million if this were to pass. The additional funds from the state, 50 cents on the dollar, is $22 million, for a total of $66 million additional new dollars for our students immediately this school year and the next, moving into the future. What would we invest those dollars in? Well, we believe 3 primary areas: teacher compensation, safety, health, and security, and connectivity and devices. Let's first talk about teacher compensation. Fort Worth ISD recruits across the nation for teachers, across the state of Texas, but primarily in North Texas, here in the 7.5 million people who live in the Metroplex. And if we line up all of those school districts in North Texas, we see that we sit in the 24th position in terms of starting teacher salary. This is first year teacher salary, and we wanted to compare that, and we are in 24th position. If we're going to recruit, if we're going to retain, keep our teachers from jumping from Fort Worth ISD to another higher paying school district and be competitive, we think we need to take a look at the entire teacher salary schedule. However, it's not just about the rising tide raising all boats. We want to be strategic. In addition to increasing teacher pay to recruit teachers, we want to incentivize our best and most effective teachers to work with those students in the greatest need. We also want to fill those hard to fill positions in mathematics, in science, in advanced coursework. Our special education students, special education teachers, bilingual teachers. We want to incentivize individuals to come to Fort Worth and serve our students. And of course, the teacher allotment, the teacher incentive allotment, which is a program from the state, we think we could access those dollars. We are setting up our evaluation collaboratively in order to achieve that, and these dollars would only enhance additional dollars from the state in that realm. The second bucket is safety, health, and security. Well, before COVID, safety and security meant preventing violence. You'll remember the terrible tragedies of school shootings that took place before schools were shut down, and we certainly don't want any of that to come to our community, and we need to be proactive. In fact, several of us had a trip planned to Broward County, Florida, to visit my colleague Bob Runcie, who navigated through a terrible school shooting tragedy, and they've invested significant dollars in technology, in preventative measures, in cameras, in automatically locking doors and detection, but also in the area of social and emotional learning. Safety and security is not only about hardening our schools, if you will, it's also about identifying the social and emotional needs of students and prevention. Our students understand which of their classmates are in crisis, and in many of these tragedies, it's someone who either attends the school or very familiar with the school. We want to have culturally competent staff get out into homes, get into living rooms, engage with students, engage with parents, grandparents, and identify what resources these troubled young people need. But also, if there is a more appropriate placement, we need to make that connection as well. And of course, safety and health and security also means PPE. You saw the original slide where what the state provided us is a little bit more than 1 month of what we are providing the schools, and we want to continue to replenish those supplies. We must do that, and these additional dollars would allow us to do so with additional PPE, personal protective equipment, fogging machines, hand sanitizer, disinfectant, those dividers for the desks, the plexiglass, all of that. I don't believe we will slide back to being more laissez-faire or relaxed with regard to cleanliness in our schools after this pandemic, and I think that's a good thing. And then finally, connectivity. Connectivity really is a basic utility that we need in each one of our homes, like water, electricity, gas, and robust, reliable Wi-Fi. If we're going to level the playing field, not only for our students, but for our parents, each home needs to have access to the internet. Well over 2/3 of jobs require online application. It's not like the old days when you would go to the business, fill out a sheet of paper, and get a phone call tomorrow. Our parents are applying for jobs online as well, and we want to make sure everyone has equal access. And this is a map of our school district. These are zip codes in East Fort Worth, in Southeast Fort Worth, and some portions of South Fort Worth, where we see about half a dozen of those have more than 30% of their households with children, so homes that our students live in, without broadband internet access at home. In fact, 2 of those are over 50%, 76104 in Morningside and 76102 also on the east side. And again, these are the same parts of the city that are challenged with other housing and healthcare access and food deserts. We really need to all come together, and we think that philanthropic community and our business leaders, we can achieve this, install digital towers, and help our community, our students and adults across the board to level the playing field with regard to broadband internet access. But that requires resources. So finally, we believe this is a responsible recommendation, taking us from the 19th spot out of 21 Tarrant County districts to the middle of the pack, 13. Many of our surrounding districts have already passed a tax rate election. In fact, we're not the only district going this time, this November during these difficult times. Arlington ISD next door is also asking their voters to consider exactly the same recommendation. Northwest ISD, also in Tarrant County, exactly the same recommendation. And Dallas ISD passed their TRE last year, and they are implementing many of the initiatives that we are also interested in. So as you know, early voting has already started through October 30th, Election Day on November the 3rd. It'll be a high turnout with the presidential, U.S. Senate, many state House seats and judges, and Fort Worth ISD's proposition is near the bottom, so we're reminding people to consider our students and don't stop at the top of the ballot, but consider all the way through. So that, President Ramos, concludes my report, and I'm happy to entertain any questions, comments, or suggestions.
Thank you, Dr. Superintendent. Looks like the first question is from Trustee Ashley Paz.
Thank you, President Ramos. And Dr. Scribner, I'd like to thank you for two wonderful presentations. I have just two questions. The first is the teacher incentive allotment. Can you explain a little bit more about what that is?
Yes, thank you. So the state of Texas adopted a plan very similar to the teacher excellence initiative in Dallas ISD, and have really taken it statewide. It is a teacher evaluation and principal evaluation as well that is based on student outcomes, student achievement, but also student growth, identifying students where they are and moving them more than 1 year of growth within one calendar year. So achievement, growth, culture and climate, making sure students feel welcome, that they're going to a safe and orderly campus. Also survey data among each other, a collegiality survey, but also a survey of parents, making sure parents are feeling welcomed at the campus. It's also an opportunity to incentivize not only the classroom teacher, but all of the support staff, our classified staff, our librarians, nurses, social workers, counselors, intervention specialists, reading specialists, math specialists, because teaching, when done right, is a team sport. We all need to pull together, and we also want to incentivize our school site leaders as well. So the TIA, the teacher incentive allotment is a state program, and we believe that we can build on that and enhance that and be much more competitive than our surrounding districts by implementing some of these dollars into teacher incentives and teacher salaries as well.
Thank you. Yes, so I serve on the executive committee with at the Council of Great Schools with Mike Hinojosa from Dallas ISD, and I know that their program started off a little bit rocky, but now it is much more popular today, and they have shown tremendous growth, and that's one of the things that he's constantly talking about in our executive committee meetings as a success of his time in Dallas. So that's great to hear. So thank you for that. And then my second question is, we've talked a lot about PPE, and one of the questions that I have been getting the most is, well, we've already bought PPE. We got PPE from the, COVID is a temporary problem. So what happens to this money after COVID goes away and we don't need PPE anymore? My response to this point has been, this is a temporary problem, but it's going to be temporary is relative, and we're going to be dealing with the need for PPE for years. But how would you respond to those questions?
Well, I would say two things. First, I would share that that again, I don't think we're going to slide back and have safe and orderly and clean campuses be a low priority. That's one. But the second thing I would say is that is only one of the three buckets. The teacher incentive pay is probably the largest bucket. PPE is certainly, you're right, it's not going to go away anytime soon, but neither is the need for technology. Because we will have seen a great deal of learning loss, and this is a national issue. You hear this in districts across the state, across the nation. We are going to need to continue to arm our students with the proper technology, provide it to them. I envision a scenario where we're playing catch up, and we have in-person instruction, ultimately, hopefully safely for all students, from, for example, 8 in the morning until 3 in the afternoon. But then after school support and tutoring and small group, that could happen in person, or it could happen virtually, where a small group of students can work with the teacher virtually in the afternoons, in the evenings, on Saturday mornings, so that we can extend the school day, target those students who have academic need, and provide them with support with regard to the technology. So the PPE is one leg of a three-legged stool. I think we're going to need it for years to come, but the other two certainly are not going away either.
Great, thank you so much. And that actually kind of sparked another question that I want to go ahead and take the liberty to ask, and I promise this is it. So you talked about, after the need for PPE goes away, we're still going to have other additional needs. Surely there are always going to be strategic priorities that are underfunded. But one of the ways that we identified those priorities was through our. I'm sorry, my dogs are going crazy because my kids just went up. So I am super distracted right now, and that's what the crying is. How did the efficiency audit that was conducted in 2019 help us identify these needs and the additional strategic priorities that we have?
Well, the efficiency audit did a number of things. It really helped us target our resources and our staffing. As you see, the continuous move to get more and more instructional staff to the schools. We are decentralizing our central office. We're going to be shrinking the number of people who report to the central office. We already have stood up the Teaching and Learning Center at Bridgewood on the East Fort Worth. We're looking in the months to come to relocate individuals to the instructional staff to the north side, to a facility on the west side. That was what the boundary work was about, in terms of aligning our attendance boundaries so that we could align our schools. We're looking to repurpose about 5 or 6 different buildings. So that's one piece to the puzzle. And then the other, obviously, is our school performance framework. The efficiency study led us to identifying tiering our schools. So those schools that are higher achieving, they've earned some autonomy, and so they have demonstrated that they have been successful. So any of the compliance, any of the support, quote unquote, that is traditional for all schools could be pulled back from those higher achieving schools, so that we can double down on the schools in need. And many of those are our tier 4 and 5 schools. We want certainly all students to improve, but at this point, I think the additional dollars would be invested with a lens for equity.
Okay. Thank you, Trustee Paz. Next, we have Trustee Brookins.
I want to thank you for doing this presentation, because I've had a lot of voters ask me what the TRE stood for, and I think some of them may have gotten confused with Trinity Metro, thinking it was either the T or something like that. But I'm glad to see that we're advertising it all over the place. I see the signs in my district now all over. So I'm glad to see that we're finally getting that message out there. My question is, because we want every child to have a laptop or Chromebook or some kind of technology, we we will be able to utilize these funds for cybersecurity, correct?
Absolutely, yes. Cybersecurity is going to be something as we continue to do these kinds of meetings on Zoom, as we continue to do more instruction, we are going to need to every day continue to reinforce our cybersecurity measures. And then, of course, also with regard to those additional items, we need to refresh those. If we have 80,000 devices out there, and a Chromebook lifespan is about 3 years. About every year we'll have to refresh a third of that 80,000, and unfortunately, at least I can tell you in our household, when the Chromebook is in the backpack of a 7th grader, sometimes that lifespan is shortened. So this is going to be a recurring investment that I believe is warranted for our students.
And are there currently like firewalls on the Chromebooks where the kids don't have access to anything?
Yes, there are, and in fact, the initiative that we would be working with Cradle to Career Fort Worth and the T3 Tarrant 2 and through also talks about investing with our philanthropic partners on digital towers. Those digital towers would communicate with our servers. Our servers, in a point-to-point relationship, would communicate with routers that we could provide to each one of those households in the zip codes that I mentioned earlier. And then, if every student had a device, then that router in their home would be provided safe and clean internet access, to the same access that they would have if they were in one of our school buildings. So we really think this is good for the whole city and for students and adults alike.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Looks like we have Trustee Andor.
Thank you, President Ramos. Two things. One, I was really glad to hear you mention special education when you're talking about teacher and incentives and allotments. I know that the supply of highly qualified special education teachers and the demand, the supply is one second, the demand is greater than the supply. I had to get that right. And so will some of these teacher incentive allotments, will some of these incentives be available for special education teachers as well?
Of course, yes, they will. And I think, again, one size doesn't fit all. One incentive plan, one evaluation model certainly doesn't fit everyone. So we would want to tailor that. But certainly when we talk about moving students, that's why it's not simply achievement, but it's also growth and several of those other factors. We do believe, in fact, some of our teachers of the year in recent years, some of our special education teachers have really shined, and we want to be able to recognize and reward them as well. I think an interesting feature of teacher incentives is that, unfortunately, historically in public education, the only way to kind of get a promotion and move up the organizational chart is to be rewarded, but you're getting further and further away from students the higher you go. And so we want to make it a system so that teachers, individuals can receive additional compensation, be rewarded, and be leaders, and still remain in contact with students. I think that ultimately is the goal.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. And I hope that also applies to other support staff, such as librarians and reading specialists. And I mean, it can be a snowball effect, but just to continue to think outside the box on that.
You're absolutely right.
One of the most important roles that I think is a role of a trustee is to make sure that the district is prepared. And preparation is, we keep hearing that word right now, be prepared, be prepared. We heard that from Dr. Tanasia of the health department. School districts need to be prepared. And I agree with that. We do need to be prepared. And we prepare by having fire drills at school. We want to make sure that our students and our teachers know what to do. That's preparation. We prepare by having active shooter drills. We prepare by making sure that there's technology in the student's hands. My family prepares for a fire by making sure we have working fire smoke detectors, we have fire extinguishers in the house, we have a plan, we have chain ladders on the second floor. We hope we never, ever have to use any of that, but we are prepared nonetheless. And I think it's really critical to make sure that we realize that as we are putting these devices in children's hands and we are preparing, that doesn't mean that we are necessarily going back to a virtual learning environment, but we are prepared. And I watch schools, in even those in this area, that have had to close a grade or have had to close a school, and they were not prepared for virtual learning. Therefore, they were scrambling, and students lost days of learning. And I am thankful that we are not in that position, that we are preparing adequately. And part of that would be to continue to increase, continue to purchase some of that technology to make sure we're prepared with that PPE, and prepare for the classroom by recruiting the most talented teachers in this area or across the nation to come and teach and work with our students. So I appreciate you making this presentation, so that as a board member, I can know best how to prepare and make sure that the district is prepared for students. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Just to make a little note, reminder from legal counsel that we stick to, questions, comments, but for the purposes of educating, not for advocating for the TRE. We'll want to make sure we're mindful of that. Trustee Phillips.
It was fine, good brother. Thank you, President Ramos. I definitely understand that as far as the Wi-Fi broadband internet access aspect of things, is that that's going to have to be collaborative, not something just solely within our control, but we'll do our part to be a huge part of what it would take in order to make that happen for all of our students with this. I guess for me, this is more of a comment and suggestion, and you definitely can speak to it if you have this information readily available, but I don't necessarily expect you to have it readily available. I guess the suggestion is, or the comment here is that I really do advocate for us being a 1-to-1 district holistically. I am very glad that we were able to accomplish that 6 through 12. I absolutely think we're in a day and age where that needs to be implemented really pre-K through 12 now, and every student that we serve needs to be able to have a device. And of course, it takes money to be able to do that. So definitely not being naive to that aspect of it. So I guess what I would hope to see is some sort of timeline of what it would look like for us to be able to accomplish that. Of course, this being passed would absolutely, we would be able to utilize funding here as you presented, that we will be utilizing funds to be able to speed that timeline up. But whether or not voters decided to pass this or not, I still find it to be absolutely a necessity and somewhere that we're going to have to go regardless. So with that being the case, I would love to see what would a timeline look like. TRE passes, this is what it looks like. Doesn't pass, this is what it looks like. But ultimately, we know we have a path moving forward towards ultimately being a 1-to-1 district. If anyone has any thoughts on that, please feel free to say. But yes.
Trustee Phillips, I will address that briefly. You saw numbers earlier about the number of devices we already have out in the hands of our students. We have an additional 10,000 devices on order on their way in, 3,000 of those devices arriving in the district within the next week, another 7,000 devices on their way in, leaving us with an additional 7,000 to 10,000 devices still needed to get to that 80,000 devices across the district, for which we are prepared to look at receiving quotes and placing an order this school year to get the first round of devices in the district. However, knowing that there is a refresh process in place, that there has to be continued support so that we can continue to get more devices as they cycle out of their life cycle.
Okay. Thank you all. Looks like those are the questions or comments from the board. We're going to move on to action agenda item 5A, which is approved naming the auditorium at MH Moore Elementary School, the Cynthia R. Bosques Auditorium.
Jacinto?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I think Toby's trying to ask a question.
Oh, my apologies. Thank you. Trustee Jackson.
Thank you. To follow up on Trustee Phillips' question, when are we going to have a chief of technology? Or are we? Yeah.
Sure, I'll take that one. Can you hear me, Ms. Jackson?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
We actually have some candidates, and we will be doing interviews over the next couple weeks. We're hoping if we find the right candidate, maybe the November board meeting, November 10th, that we can bring in a candidate. We do have quite a few that have applied, and we have used a search for us as well that have brought us some great candidates. So it is definitely our desire to move forward as quick as we can.
Right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay. So now we'll move on to 5A, action agenda item. Approve name in the auditorium of MH Moore Elementary School, the Cynthia R. Boscus Auditorium. Prior to the board voting on this item, Clint Bond will read words from the staff and community members about Miss Cynthia R. Boscus.
Cynthia R. Boscus was a beloved pillar of our community for generations. When she recently passed away on October 4th, 2020, the outreach of the community was overwhelming. A former student, Stephanie Alvarado, wrote, "She was my third grade teacher. She put me in advanced reading and nominated me for the Vanguard program. Were it not for her, I most likely would not be a lawyer today." Hundreds more comments like that one came pouring in from parents saying she was their teacher and later their child's teacher. She was a mentor teacher to so many new teachers in our building every year. You could always expect to find Mrs. Boscus cheering and supporting all of MH Moore's athletic games. Each year, she helped to organize our Cinco de Mayo celebrations, coached many UIL teams, and was a lifetime PTA member. She was nominated Teacher of the Year at least twice and was presented with the Lifetime Achievement Award, the highest honor from the nation's largest child advocacy organization, to the person who daily lives out his or her commitment to children in 2016. Ms. Cynthia Boscus loved, served, and educated the children in our Diamond Hill community for more than 40 years. We would like to honor her commitment to MH Moore Elementary by naming our school auditorium the Cynthia R. Boscus Auditorium.
Thank you, Mr. Bond. Colleagues, to continue to get efficient in our board meetings, I'll ask that you use the raise hand feature for motions for discussion. So I'd like to see who has a motion. We have a motion by Trustee Ashley Paz. Do we have a second for this motion? We have a second by Trustee Andar. I'll look to see if there's any discussion from any of my colleagues. Any of my colleagues here in person, if you have anything to add for discussion, please raise your hand physically or on here. And then if not, I'll call on Trustee Daphne Brookins. Do you have any discussion?
No discussion at this time.
Thank you. I see Trustee Ashley Paz has discussion.
Yes, I would just like to thank our Fort Worth ISD staff for bringing this forward. And for my colleagues, I would like to ask your support in passing this resolution to name the auditorium after Ms. Boscus. This is really important it's important for the Diamond Hill and MH Moore community. And this is a request that came directly from the community with an outpouring of support. So I'd like to thank everyone for their support on this matter.
Thank you, Trustee Paz. We will now move to vote, and I'll call on each trustee. Please say yes, no, or abstain. We'll begin with Trustee Toby Jackson.
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Quentin Phillips.
Yes.
Trustee Daphne Brookins.
Yes.
Trustee CJ.
Yes.
Trustee Andar.
Yes.
Trustee Norman Robbins,
Yes.
Trustee Ana Luevanos, Trustee Ashley Paz,
Yes.
and I am Jacinto Ramos Jr., Trustee Jacinto Ramos Jr., and I vote yes. The motion passes 9-4 and 0 against. Thank you, board. This evening, Ms. Bosquez's daughter is present, Christina Munoz. We welcome you to have some words at this time.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Everyone. My name is Christina Munoz, eldest daughter to Miss Cynthia R. Bosquez. Miss Bosquez was cherished by many for obvious reasons. Her loving nature as an beloved and devoted mother and grandmother. Her passion for teaching and mentoring others, fostering encouragement and sheer dedication to her children and MH Moore family. An extremely humble human being, certainly the personification of modesty and humility. She would not want us to make a big deal about her. But those same qualities she had, thoughtfulness, dedication, modesty, virtuous, strong and loving, are the embodiment of the quintessential teacher and even human experience. In the 43 years she taught, she didn't waver in her commitment to her students or to her school, her second family. For those reasons and more, we, those that are left to preserve and honor her memory, sincerely believe that the auditorium endowed with her namesake will serve as a guiding epitome to prior and forthcoming generations of the prominence of education and the vigor of her calling for. May every student, teacher, parent, and school community member that walk through the MH Moore halls see her name and share her story to inspire and cultivate future generations like Miss Bosque did during her extensive tutelage. Thank you everyone for your time and allowing me this great honor to speak in remembrance of our late mother, Cynthia Rodriguez Bosque. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Munoz, and thank you for joining us tonight. And we appreciate you sharing your thoughts with the board and the community today. We will now move on to number 6, discussion of consent agenda items. As board president, I'm making the following statement in accordance with board policy BBFA local. This is a reminder to all board members of the legal conflict of interest requirements and disclosure requirements you may have for matters under consideration on the agenda for this meeting. If required by law, board members shall recuse themselves from all discussion and shall abstain from voting on any matter pertaining to such a disclosure. I'd like to please note that item F, memorandum, approving memorandum of understanding between Fort Worth ISD and Early Childhood Intervention of North Central Texas for children participating in preschool programs, has been removed from consent agenda items and will be moved to action agenda items. Now I'll see if there are any questions or comments concerning consent agenda items. I'll call on each trustee just to make sure. District 2 Trustee Toby Jackson.
No concerns or questions.
Thank you. Trustee Phillips.
No question.
Trustee Brookins.
No questions.
Trustee Evans.
No questions.
Trustee Dar.
No questions.
Trustee Robbins.
Yes, I believe on page 18, which I think is the minutes for the September 10th meeting, it says that 7 approved and 3 declined approval. I think it should be 6 approved and 3 declined. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you for noting that, Trustee Robbins. Trustee Luevanos. He says no questions. Okay, thank you. Trustee Paz.
No question.
And I have no questions. So we will now begin to recess and reconvene in executive session. So the time is 7:40 p.m. The date is Tuesday, October 20th, 2020. We will now recess and reconvene virtually and in person for executive session as authorized by Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code under sections 551.071, .072, .074, and .076.
Item 4C, approve resolution and order for election services for the November 3rd.
The Fort Worth ISD Board of Trustees has called for a special election on Tuesday, November the 3rd.
Motion passes.
It's a voter approval tax rate election, TRE for short. Why a TRE on the ballot? Because Fort Worth ISD is seeking a tax rate change that requires voter approval. That's the why. Now let's talk about why now. There are 3 primary reasons, and all of them tie back to the tremendous impact of COVID-19 on how we teach our students, starting with campus safety and security. Campus safety is and always has been the top priority for Fort Worth ISD. In light of COVID-19, that includes ensuring students are safely able to work in a classroom environment, engage with teachers and their classmates. If approved, money from the TRE would go toward making our campuses safer by providing extensive safety training for teachers, staff, and students, personal protective equipment for everyone, and proven safety modifications throughout campuses, all to minimize disruptions. We don't want to just open our schools, we want to keep them open.
Turn it on.
Another reason for the TRE this November, connectivity. The health crisis illustrated the need for technology and internet access in neighborhoods across our community. Even when schools are fully reopened, students will still need technology at home for doing research, homework, and other assignments. If approved, money from the TRE would help pay for laptops for students, access to the internet, online curriculum materials, and other digital learning resources. Reason number 3, teacher recruitment and retention. Fort Worth ISD ranks 24th in beginning teacher pay among school districts in North Texas.
I have missed you guys.
Money from the TRE would raise our teacher pay to a competitive level and address a related challenge the district faces, the academic ground lost during COVID-19. If approved, the TRE would also help fund the resources it will take to help students overcome that educational lag. This leads to another reason for the TRE on November the 3rd, increased funding from the state. Here's our Chief Financial Officer, Mike Ball, to tell us about that.
Right now, for every $1 invested in Fort Worth ISD by taxpayers through approval of the TRE, the state would contribute 50 cents to the district that it would not receive otherwise. Here's how that would add up. The tax rate change alone would give the district $44 million. The 50 cents from the state adds an extra $22 million, bringing the total to $66 million.
Finally, the other big question you no doubt have, how will the TRE affect homeowners? For that, let's go back to Mike.
First, know that voters will actually be deciding on a change to the district's maintenance and operations tax rate, which would pay for the things we're talking about. If the TRE is approved, the tax rate for homeowners would go from $1.28 per $100 value to $1.37. That would increase property taxes about $3 a week or $13 a month based on the average value of homes within Fort Worth ISD. Out of 21 Tarrant County school districts, when including the rate on the ballot for voter approval, Fort Worth ISD has the 13th lowest total tax rate for 2020-2021.
For homeowners aged 65 or older, there would be no increase to their total tax amount. Now, the decision is yours. Please mark your calendars for Election Day, Tuesday, November the 3rd. Early voting starts on October 13th and runs through October 30th. For more information on the TRE, visit fwisd.org/election. Thank you. Industry-driven Gold Seal programs and schools of choice offer Fort Worth ISD families and students the power of choice, now more than ever, to go beyond the basic, beyond the traditional, to find the pathway that's a match to a student's interest, goals, and learning style. And just look at the programs and schools to choose from. You've got goals and dreams for the future. We've got a high school experience to match.
There you go.
They can sign up.
Fort Worth ISD Gold Seal programs of choice are built for dreamers like you.
You do one simple.
The problem solvers, the curious minds, the creators,
of art and ideas. Gold Seal programs deliver expert guidance, and your checklist, hands-on learning, certifications, college credits, and community partners who support your learning. A great example? Our P-Tech early college high schools that combine high school, college, and career. So the idea is to grow. Students can earn an associate degree. Ready to go? Visit job sites, build relationships, and develop workplace skills and knowledge. Our partners enrich every Gold Seal program, open doors to careers, and put you ahead of the herd. There's a Gold Seal pathway to fit your interests.
So let's give it a shot.
Whether it's making machines run better and fly higher,
Sales inside of it. Canadian place is better.
or improving health
Do you have any allergies?
and housing. Whether it's serving on the front lines,
Are y'all set? All right, we're ready.
or protecting citizens online.
Yeah, moving all the frames.
Bring your biggest dreams and determination here,
Really great product.
where you belong, in a Fort Worth ISD program of choice.
Take graphic.
Your choice. The atmosphere is electric at Fort Worth ISD Gold Seal Schools of Choice.
It's like
These smaller, well-focused learning communities prepare students for college and careers in the most innovative ways.
This combines art and math.
Now we know what to do.
Every school day hums with activity and empowerment at Young Men's Leadership Academy and Young Women's Leadership Academy.
Come across one.
Future leaders are at work here, gaining knowledge, experiences, and character, while developing lifelong strategies for success. Move toward your dreams at the IM Terrell Academy for STEM and VPA. On the STEM side, students design and problem solve in a high-tech makerspace. In VPA, students train in state-of-the-art studios and perform in a magnificent hall. The school's Cowan Academy in the Humanities elevates the study of literature, history, art, and philosophy. Imagine learning multiple languages, exploring global cultures, and taking academic courses in English and Spanish. The World Languages Institute is perfect for students from Spanish immersion and dual language programs, and anyone else eager to learn Spanish immersion style. Early college high schools merge high school, college, and career. Students go to school on Tarrant County College campuses and can earn an associate degree for free. Marine Creek Collegiate High School focuses on high academic achievement and skills for success.
It's got a slightly movable
The
joint.
Texas Academy of Biomedical Sciences is a hub of health science studies with hands-on laboratory learning supported by medical industry partners. TCC South Fort Worth ISD Collegiate High takes industry partnerships to a new level. It's the district's first P-Tech early college high school. Partners such as Encore and the Fort Worth Water Department help students build skills that industries want.
Clap your wings.
Schools of choice are not just for older students. Collectively, 4 applied learning academies serve kindergarten through the 8th grade. Students apply their knowledge to solve real-life issues as they investigate the bigger world.
6 taken 2 times.
Our Montessori program guides kindergarten through 8th grade students in multi-age classrooms that are safe and respectful. Students work through lessons, interact with others, cultivate self-discipline, and take early ownership of their education. A great start to a lifetime of learning. One-size-fits-all education is so last century. Pick your cutting-edge Gold Seal pathway to college, career, and community leadership. For more information, visit fwisd.org/choice
where you'll find the Gold Seal catalog and the Let's Talk link for your questions. You may also call the campus of the program or school you're interested in.
As many Fort Worth ISD students prepare to return to physical classrooms, it's better if we all know the plan. So here are some helpful tips that will allow parents and students to prepare for a school year much different than we've ever known before. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Every day before students leave home, parents must conduct a pre-screening. Pre-screening means taking temperatures and observing whether your child is exhibiting any of the COVID-19 symptoms. Those symptoms include a body temperature of 100 degrees or higher, coughing, shortness of breath or difficulty breathing, chills, shaking or exaggerated shivering, muscle pain, headache, sore throat, or a new loss of taste or smell.
Hello, good morning. Let me check you in.
Children may also be pre-screened when they arrive at school and during the day.
97.8.
Please don't send your child to school if they have a confirmed case of COVID-19, have been in close contact with confirmed cases of the virus, or if they or any family member is awaiting test results for COVID-19. All Fort Worth ISD students will wear face masks while on a school bus, in a school facility, and throughout the day. For students riding to school on a bus, wear a mask and sit with only 2 students per seat. Each school campus will have its own specific health safety plan. Generally speaking, however, students will be allowed to enter through designated entrances. Parents or other visitors should plan on not entering the school building as the class day begins. As students move to their classrooms, they will socially distance and follow traffic flow instructions.
Good morning, everyone. How are you today?
Classroom protocols will include expectations about school supplies, social distancing, limited group work, hand washing, and sanitizing. Teachers and other staff will monitor children throughout the day and refer children to the school nurse when appropriate. School lunch periods and dismissal will be according to each campus safety plan. Local, state, and federal health professionals tell us that COVID-19 will still be with us as we return students to the classroom, so all our plans will have to remain flexible. So just a few simple precautions, such as pre-screening, wearing masks, washing our hands, and social distancing will go a long way to preventing learning disruptions and keeping kids safer at school. Bye.
Beginning October the 1st, every student who is planning to go to college or even thinking about going to college will want to be sure to fill out a FAFSA form. FAFSA stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. It's the document that determines a student's eligibility for federal financial aid for college, which may include grants, scholarships, work study, and loans. But it's not just about financial need.
And those opportunities for you as a student are quite remarkable.
Completing the FAFSA should be top priority for every college-going student. You can't receive any college or university-sponsored scholarship money if you don't.
What they're going to do is take the best scores of each section.
Your high school college coaches are available on your campus to help you complete the FAFSA.
Welcome.
And we'll provide financial aid help sessions from October through May. Let the race to submit begin. Industry-driven Gold Seal programs and schools of choice offer Fort Worth ISD families and students the power of choice, now more than ever, to go beyond the basic, beyond the traditional, to find the pathway that's a match to a student's interest, goals, and learning style. And just look at the programs and schools to choose from. You've got goals and dreams for the future. We've got a high school experience to match.
There you go.
They can sign up.
Fort Worth ISD Gold Seal programs of choice are built for dreamers like you.
You do one simple.
The problem solvers, the curious minds, the creators of art and ideas. Gold Seal programs deliver expert guidance, your checklist, hands-on learning,
certifications, college credit, and community partners who support your learning. A great example? Our P-Tech early college high schools that combine high school, college, and career.
So the idea is to grow.
Students can earn an associate degree.
Ready to go?
Visit job sites, build relationships, and develop workplace skills and knowledge. Our partners enrich every Gold Seal program, open doors to careers, and put you ahead of the herd. There's a Gold Seal pathway to fit your interests.
So let's give it a shot.
Whether it's making machines run better and fly higher,
Sales inside of it. Can't place is better.
or improving health
Do you have any allergies?
and housing. Whether it's serving on the front lines
Are y'all set? All right, we're ready.
or protecting citizens online.
Yeah, moving on the frames.
Bring your biggest dreams and determination here,
Really great product.
where you belong, in a Fort Worth ISD program of choice.
Take graphic.
Your choice. The atmosphere is electric at Fort Worth ISD Gold Seal Schools of Choice. These smaller, well-focused learning communities prepare students for college and careers in the most innovative ways.
This combines art and math.
Now we know what to do.
Every school day hums with activity and empowerment at Young Men's Leadership Academy and Young Women's Leadership Academy.
Come across one.
Future leaders are at work here, gaining knowledge, experiences, and character, while developing lifelong strategies for success. Move toward your dreams at the I Am Terrell Academy for STEM and VPA. On the STEM side, students design and problem solve in a high-tech makerspace. In VPA, students train in state-of-the-art studios and perform in a magnificent hall. The school's Cowan Academy in the Humanities elevates the study of literature, history, art, and philosophy. Imagine learning multiple languages, exploring global cultures, and taking academic courses in English and Spanish. The World Languages Institute is perfect for students from Spanish immersion and dual language programs, and anyone else eager to learn Spanish immersion style. Early college high schools merge high school, college, and career. Students go to school on Tarrant County College campuses and can earn an associate degree for free. Marine Creek Collegiate High School focuses on high academic achievement and skills for success.
It's got a slightly movable
The
joint.
Texas Academy of Biomedical Sciences is a hub of health science studies, with hands-on laboratory learning supported by medical industry partners. TCC South Fort Worth ISD Collegiate High takes industry partnerships to a new level. It's the district's first P-Tech early college high school. Partners such as Encore and the Fort Worth Water Department help students build skills that industries want.
Clap your wings.
Schools of choice are not just for older students. Collectively, 4 applied learning academies serve kindergarten through the 8th grade. Students apply their knowledge to solve real-life issues as they investigate the bigger world.
6 taken 2 times.
Our Montessori program guides kindergarten through 8th grade students in multi-age classrooms that are safe and respectful. Students work through lessons, interact with others, cultivate self-discipline, and take early ownership of their education. A great start to a lifetime of learning. One-size-fits-all education is so last century. Pick your cutting-edge Gold Seal pathway to college, career, and community leadership. For more information, visit fwisd.org/choice, where you'll find the Gold Seal catalog and the Let's Talk link for your questions. You may also call the campus of the program or school you're interested in.
I belong here.
There's a place all parents want for their young child, where learning happens in leaps and bounds in literacy, math, and social skills, where teachers are state certified and super suited to provide structure, encouragement, and a nurturing, safe space for every child.
And that place is Fort Worth ISD, pre-K and kindergarten. Register online starting April 1st. Your child belongs here.
Before you start the new school year and online learning, create your space.
All right, gentlemen, this is going to be a space for our online learning.
Find a home learning environment that's comfortable and as free from distractions as possible.
You know which class to work until
Working there repeatedly establishes a routine and keeps books, supplies, everything you need in one place. The space must also have high-speed internet access and a power source, a digital device, and in shared spaces, headphones are strongly recommended. Now, be sure to contact your campus if you need a Chromebook or a hotspot.
Okay, turn it on. 10:30, we're going to start working on
Just
that,
like in the classroom, students need a daily routine.
Okay, let's take a
The
break.
closer you can stick to a regular school schedule, the easier it will be for everyone. But find a schedule that works for the student and the needs of the family. Try to schedule virtual learning sessions when you're not likely to be distracted. Use a calendar for due dates and class meetings. Color coding can help. Set alarms and alerts on your phone as needed, and you're in a good place to learn.
Good job today, guys. You got some free time.
For more information, go to fwisd.org/families.
This is going to be your school area.
You've created your home learning space. Now let's get you started online. First, know that kindergarten through 12th grade students will use the Google Classroom virtual learning platform. Pre-K students will use Seesaw. Google Chrome is the recommended web browser. Google Meet is the communication tool teachers will use to video conference with students. Teachers will communicate with parents through district email and Parent Link. And every teacher will maintain a class Google site that you can access from your campus's website. No matter what kind of device you use, laptop, tablet, or smartphone, practice with it before the first day of school. Now, actual learning begins by signing on to ClassLink. It's the portal to your virtual learning platform and many digital tools and resources you will use. To get to ClassLink, just go to fwisd.org/myfwisd. Click the Sign In with Microsoft button. Type in your district Active Directory username. That's the one with the letter S and your student ID number, followed by @stu.fwisd.org. By the way, you may occasionally need your Google username, which is similar. Instead of typing STU in the extension, spell out students. Note that your password is the same for your Active Directory and Google accounts. And you're on your way to online learning. The ClassLink Launchpad links you to important applications, websites, and cloud storage.
Good job today, guys.
For more information, including step-by-step video guides, go to fwisd.org/families.
Go ahead and open your computers and let's get ready to log in.
These 5 tips are just for you, Fort Worth ISD parents.
It's like your first day of school.
They'll help you position your child to make the most of online learning and stay on track until school doors safely reopen.
Okay, turn it on.
First, start each online school day helping your child set goals for the
Hi,
day.
Sammy, what are you working on today?
Ask questions such as, what do you plan to work on today? What will you do if you get stuck? What resources do you need? And how can I support you?
So I'll check back in with you.
Then check back periodically to make sure your child is engaged and learning. We all know how easy it is to get distracted online.
You're doing great.
Celebrate successes like putting a star or a sticker on completed work. At the end of the school day, encourage your child to reflect on the day and develop a plan for tomorrow. Again, ask questions. What did you learn and accomplish today? What was challenging? How can we make tomorrow even better?
But it sounds like you got a good plan. Okay.
Be patient and flexible with your child and yourself. If your child becomes frustrated, suggest a short break.
Let's take a break real quick. All right, you ready? Come on.
Have you talked to your teachers about anything?
And
that's
finally,
going on for you?
keep in contact with teachers, counselors, and others on campus who can answer your questions and hear any concerns you have. Remember, you are your child's best coach, providing support and encouragement and expectations.
Good job today, guys. Proud of you.
For more information, including support material for learning tools and step-by-step video reference guides, visit fwisd.org/families.
Gold Seal Schools of Choice offer Fort Worth ISD families and students the power of choice, now more than ever, to go beyond the basic, beyond the traditional, to find the pathway that's a match to a student's interest, goals, and learning style. And just look at the schools to choose from. The atmosphere is electric at Fort Worth ISD Gold Seal Schools of Choice. These smaller, well-focused learning communities prepare students for college and careers in the most innovative ways.
And this combines art and math.
Now we know what to do.
Every school day hums with activity and empowerment at Young Men's Leadership Academy and Young Women's Leadership Academy.
Come across one.
Future leaders are at work here, gaining knowledge, experiences, and character, while developing lifelong strategies for success. Move toward your dreams at the I Am Terrell Academy for STEM and VPA. On the STEM side, students design and problem solve in a high-tech makerspace. In VPA, students train in state-of-the-art studios and perform in a magnificent hall. The school's Cowan Academy in the Humanities elevates the study of literature, history, art, and philosophy. Imagine learning multiple languages, exploring global cultures, and taking academic courses in English and Spanish. The World Languages Institute is perfect for students from Spanish immersion and dual language programs, and anyone else eager to learn Spanish immersion style. Early college high schools merge high school, college, and career. Students go to school on Tarrant County College campuses and can earn an associate degree for free. Marine Creek Collegiate High School focuses on high academic achievement and skills for success.
Got a slightly movable
The Texas Academy of Biomedical Sciences is a hub of health science studies, with hands-on laboratory learning supported by medical industry partners. TCC South Fort Worth ISD Collegiate High takes industry partnerships to a new level. It's the district's first P-Tech early college high school. Partners such as Encore and the Fort Worth Water Department help students build skills that industries want.
Flap your wings.
Schools of choice are not just for older students. Collectively, 4 applied learning academies serve kindergarten through the 8th grade. Students apply their knowledge to solve real-life issues as they investigate the bigger world.
6 taken 2 times.
Our Montessori program guides kindergarten through 8th grade students in multi-age classrooms that are safe and respectful. Students work through lessons, interact with others, cultivate self-discipline, and take early ownership of their education. A great start to a lifetime of learning. Pick your cutting-edge Gold Seal pathway to college, career, and community leadership. For more information, visit fwisd.org/choice, where you'll find the Gold Seal catalog and the Let's Talk link for your questions. You may also call the campus of the program or school you're interested in.
Good morning. We're so excited. Can you wave? You ready for today? Love you. Have the best day.
Kids are excited to be back in school after 7 months at home.
Awesome. All right. You're good to go.
I tell you, what we did see was lots of smiling faces, not only on the students, but especially the parents.
Finally back at school. So excited to get to be with the kids. Missing being in person was like missing my favorite part of my job.
We want to open schools today, but we want to keep them open through the remainder of the semester and year. So we have to really focus on health and safety of our students, our faculty, and staff.
So yeah, we're ready to go.
Thank you so much again. Take care. Good to see you as well. How's everybody doing?
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Today we received all our 6th graders, which was great to see their smiling faces enter our building. Just come excited to learn, missing their friends, missing their teachers.
So today is your first day of class, guys. We're making sure we're socially distanced, wearing our mask at all times.
If you're catching the pattern here, you're only going to the classes highlighted in yellow.
People are really realizing how important public schools are to our society and to our community.
Have a good day.
Gold Seal Programs of Choice offer Fort Worth ISD families and students the power of choice, now more than ever. To go beyond the basic, beyond the traditional, to find the pathway that's a match to a student's interest, goals, and learning style. And just look at the programs to choose from. You've got goals and dreams for the future. We've got a high school experience to match.
There you go.
They can sign up.
Fort Worth ISD Gold Seal Programs of Choice are built for dreamers like you.
You do one simple.
The problem solvers, the curious minds, the creators of art and idea. Gold Seal programs deliver expert guidance,
Your checklist.
hands-on learning, certifications, college credits, and community partners who support your learning. A great example? Our P-Tech early college high schools that combine high school, college, and career.
So the idea is to grow.
Students can earn an associate degree,
Ready to go?
visit job sites, build relationships, and develop workplace skills and knowledge. Our partners enrich every Gold Seal program, open doors to careers, and put you ahead of the herd. There's a Gold Seal pathway to fit your interests.
So let's give it a shot.
Whether it's making machines run better and fly higher,
Sales inside of it.
Can't place is better.
or improving health
Do you have any allergies?
and housing. Whether it's serving on the front lines
Are y'all set? All right, we're ready.
or protecting citizens online.
Yeah, moving all the frames.
Bring your biggest dreams and determination here,
Really great product.
where you belong, in a Fort Worth ISD program of choice.
Take graphic.
Your choice. Pick your cutting-edge Gold Seal pathway to college, career, and community leadership. For more information, visit fwisd.org/choice, where you'll find the Gold Seal catalog and the Let's Talk link for your questions. You may also call the campus of the program or school you're interested in.
A medida que algunos estudiantes de Fort Worth ISD se preparan para regresar a la escuela en persona, será de ayuda para cada quien que todos conozcamos el plan. Aquí hay algunos consejos para que nuestros padres y estudiantes se preparen para un regreso a la escuela diferente de todo lo que hemos hecho antes. ¡Hola, chicas! ¡Hola! Todos los días, antes de que los estudiantes se vayan de casa, los padres deben realizarles una revisión previa. Esta revisión consiste en tomar la temperatura y observar si su hijo o hija presenta alguno de los síntomas del virus COVID-19. Estos síntomas incluyen una temperatura corporal de 100 grados o más, tos, falta de aliento o dificultad para respirar, escalofríos o temblor extremo, dolor muscular, dolor de cabeza, dolor de garganta o pérdida reciente del gusto o del olfato.
Hello, good morning. Let me check you in.
Se podrían realizar exámenes adicionales al llegar a la escuela y durante el día escolar.
97.8.
Por favor, no envíen a sus hijos a la escuela si tienen un caso confirmado de COVID-19, si han estado en contacto cercano con casos confirmados del virus o si ellos o algún miembro de la familia está esperando los resultados de la prueba de COVID-19. Todos los estudiantes de Forward ISD usarán cubrebocas mientras estén en el autobús escolar, en nuestras instalaciones y durante el día. Para los estudiantes que viajan en el autobús escolar, por favor, usen cubrebocas y siéntense con solo 2 estudiantes por asiento, sin nadie sentado en el medio. Cada escuela tendrá su propio plan de seguridad de salud, pero en términos generales, los estudiantes pueden ingresar a través de las entradas designadas. Los padres y otros visitantes deben planear no ingresar a la escuela cuando comience el día de clases. A medida que los estudiantes vayan a sus aulas, tomarán una distancia social y seguirán las señales del flujo de tráfico.
Entonces lo voy a hacer grande para que todos podamos verlo.
Los protocolos del salón de clases incluirán detalles del uso de útiles escolares, distanciamiento social, trabajo en grupo limitado, lavado y desinfección de manos. Los maestros y el personal supervisarán a los niños durante el día y los enviarán a la enfermería cuando sea necesario. Los periodos de almuerzo escolar y la salida serán de acuerdo al plan de seguridad de cada escuela. Los profesionales de la salud locales, estatales y federales nos dicen que el virus COVID-19 seguirá estando con nosotros cuando los estudiantes regresen al aula, por lo que todos nuestros planes pueden ser flexibles. Pero conocer el plan de precauciones simples como la revisión previa, el uso de cubrebocas, el distanciamiento social y el lavado de manos puede minimizar las interrupciones y mantener a todos más seguros en la escuela. ¡Adiós, chicos!
As you take your first steps into an exciting new school year, you're going to notice some changes upon your return to campus. And first, a couple of reminders. We're asking every employee to conduct a self-check before coming to work. And then, we're limiting the visitors that enter our building. And always remember that social distancing is key, maintaining 6 feet apart. And most importantly, always wear a mask. Once inside, everyone must stop by the office. Every one of our offices has a sanitizing station with extra masks, gloves, and hand sanitizer. Everyone entering our building must sign in. We've installed plexiglass for an extra layer of protection. As you walk down our hallways, you'll notice friendly reminders to social distance and wear a mask. All of our restrooms will be cleaned thoroughly throughout the day. And at each entrance, you'll find hand sanitizer and a reminder to wash your hands for at least 20 seconds. While the first few weeks of school will be done virtually, we have started making preparations for the arrival of our students for in-person learning. Principal Ordaz will give us a look at what a classroom may look like upon their return.
When students first walk in the classroom, we have a sanitation station so they can clean their hands. We have also spaced the desks apart so that students can have some distance between them. And if needed, we have these partitions that they can also use. This is a kindergarten classroom, and sometimes we want the students to be able to work together. So we're using these dividers so that students can see each other, but still stay safe.
Thank you, Principal Ordaz. Some of the safety precautions we are taking are not as easily seen. Our Environmental Director, Stephen Furlow, will tell us all about it.
Well, before the students and teachers arrive each day, we turn on our heating and ventilation system to remove any contaminants that may be in the building overnight. Likewise, we have increased our fresh air intake to remove any of those contaminants and increase indoor air quality. Also, the custodial staff will move about the building during the day to wipe down all high contact surfaces with a decontaminant. At the end of each day, they will use a backpack fogger to decontaminate the entire building.
As you've seen, we've been very busy preparing for a safe and successful school year. We're ready for you. Let's have a great year together.
School.
Want a high school experience that moves you?
How does your character move?
Explore the IM Terrell Academy for STEM and VPA.
This down arrow brings this forward.
On the STEM side, students innovate, design, and problem solve in a high-tech makerspace. Coursework includes advanced levels of math and science in preparation for college and careers in engineering and computer science. Opportunities to earn college hours, field trips, and community partnerships elevate the experience.
Ready and go.
VPA students blend academics with intensive training in the arts, in state-of-the-art studios, practice rooms, a black box theater, and an amazing performance hall. Support from the local arts community provides unique opportunities as students prepare for college scholarship auditions and artistic careers.
Take the art to the next level.
Students also participate in the Cowan Humanities Academy,
In what way is he repeating it? Because
a college prep level study that transforms English, social studies, and Latin classes.
start realizing how you use your body.
The IM Terrell Academy for STEM and VPA, shaping innovators, artists, and lifelong learners.
So you're designing your 3D hand over here.
Item 4C, approve resolution and order for election services for the November 3rd, 2020.
La Junta de Educación de Fort Worth ISD ha convocado a una elección especial para el martes 3 de noviembre. Es una elección de la tasa de impuestos con la aprobación de votantes. La llamaremos TRE. ¿Por qué un TRE en la boleta de elección? Porque Fort Worth ISD está buscando un cambio en la tasa de impuestos que requiere la aprobación de los votantes. Eso es el por qué. Entonces, hablaremos de por qué ahora. Hay 3 razones principales, y todas ellas relacionadas con el tremendo impacto de COVID-19 en cómo enseñamos a nuestros estudiantes, comenzando con la seguridad y protección del campus. La seguridad del campus es y siempre ha sido la máxima prioridad en Fort Worth ISD. Teniendo en cuenta el COVID-19, eso incluye garantizar que los estudiantes puedan trabajar de manera segura en un entorno de salón de clase, participando con los maestros y sus compañeros de clase. Si se aprueba, el dinero del TRE se utilizaría para hacer que nuestros campus sean más seguros al proveer capacitación extensa en seguridad para maestros, personal y estudiantes, equipo de protección personal para todos y modificaciones de seguridad comprobadas en todos los campus. Todo para minimizar interrupciones. No solo queremos abrir nuestras escuelas, queremos que se mantengan abiertas. Otra razón para el TRE este noviembre, conectividad. La crisis de salud mostró la necesidad de tecnología y acceso al Internet en los vecindarios de toda nuestra comunidad. Incluso cuando las escuelas vuelven a abrir por completo, los estudiantes seguirán necesitando tecnología en casa para realizar investigaciones, tareas y otras asignaciones. Si es aprobado, el dinero de TRE ayudaría a pagar por laptops para los estudiantes, acceso al Internet, materiales curriculares en línea y otros recursos de aprendizaje digital. Razón número 3. Contratación y retención de maestros. El Fort Worth ISD ocupa el puesto 24 en salarios de nuevos maestros entre los distritos escolares del norte de Texas. El dinero de TRE elevaría el salario de nuestros maestros a un nivel competitivo y abordar un desafío relacionado que enfrenta el distrito, el terreno académico perdido durante el COVID-19. Si es aprobado, el TRE también ayudaría a financiar los recursos necesarios para ayudar a los estudiantes a superar la pérdida educativa. Esto lleva a otra razón para el TRE el 3 de noviembre. Aumento de financiamiento del Estado. Aquí está nuestra experta en números, Ángela García, para contarnos sobre eso.
Gracias, doctor Paredes Scribner. En este momento, por cada dólar invertido en Fort Worth ISD por los contribuyentes a través de la aprobación del TRE, el Estado aportaría 50 centavos al distrito que no recibiría de otra manera. Así es como se sumaría. El cambio de la tasa de impuestos por sí solo le daría al distrito 44 millones de dólares. Los 50 centavos del Estado suman 22 millones adicionales, lo que elevaría el total a 66 millones.
Finalmente, la otra gran pregunta que sin duda tiene ¿Cómo afectará el TRE a los dueños de viviendas? Para eso, volvamos con Ángela.
Primero, sepan que los votantes realmente decidirán sobre un cambio en la tasa de impuestos de mantenimiento y operaciones del distrito, que pagaría las cosas de las que estamos hablando. Si es aprobado el TRE, la tasa de impuestos para los dueños de viviendas pasaría de un valor de $1.28 por cada $100 en valor a $1.37. Eso aumentaría los impuestos a la propiedad alrededor de $3 a la semana o $13 al mes, según el valor promedio de las casas dentro de Forward ISD. De los 21 distritos escolares del condado Tarrant, Forward ISD tiene la 13ª tasa de impuestos de mantenimiento y operaciones más baja.
Y para los propietarios de 65 años o más, no habría ningún aumento en el monto total de impuestos. Ahora la decisión es suya. Por favor, marquen sus calendarios para el día de elecciones el martes 3 de noviembre. La votación temprana comienza el 13 de octubre y termina el 30 de octubre. Para obtener más información sobre el TRE, visite fwisd.org/elección. Gracias.
everyone here. Going to get us going. In accordance with the open meetings law, the board opened the meeting at 5:38 p.m. in a private video conference with a quorum present, recessed and reconvened. Open session virtually, adjourned regular session, convened executive session, adjourned executive session, and now reconvened open session at 9:04 p.m. in the public virtual video conference with a quorum present. The trustees who are present virtually are, and I'll just ask that you confirm you're with us, is Trustee Daphne Brookins.
Present.
Thank you. Trustee Ashley Paz.
Present.
Thank you. And the rest of my colleagues are here in person. We will move on to accepting consent agenda items minus 7F, which we pulled for a separate vote. I'll look to ask for my colleagues to just push the hand feature if you have any discussion on. Well, I'm sorry. Going to look for a motion. So I've got a motion by Trustee Jackson to accept consent agenda items minus 7F. Do I have a second? We have a second by Trustee Paz. Now I'll look for raise your hand feature if you have any discussion to save us all time. Looks like we have no discussion. We'll move to vote. I will call each trustee and please say yes, no on this item. We'll begin with Trustee Jackson.
Yes.
Trustee Phillips.
Yes.
Trustee Brookins.
Yes.
Trustee Evans.
Yes.
Trustee Dar.
Yes.
Trustee Robbins.
Yes.
Trustee Luevanos.
Yes.
Trustee Paz.
Yes.
And I'm Jacinto Ramos, and I vote yes. So the motion passes 9-4 and 0 again. We'll move on to 12A, item removed from consent agenda item, which is approved memorandum of understanding between Fort Worth ISD and Early Childhood Intervention of North Central Texas for children participating in preschool programs. I will look for a motion. We have a motion by Trustee Paz. Do I have a second? We have a second by Trustee Phillips. Look for you to use the raise your hand feature if you have any discussion on this agenda item. Looks like no discussion. We'll move to vote. I'll ask that you say yes, no, or abstain. We'll begin with Trustee Jackson.
Yes.
Trustee Phillips.
Yes.
Trustee Brookins.
Yes.
Trustee Evans.
Yes.
Trustee Dar.
Abstain.
Thank you. Trustee Robbins.
Yes.
Trustee Luevanos.
Yes.
Trustee Paz.
Yes.
And I'm Trustee Ramos, and I vote yes. So motion passes 8-4, 0 against, and 1 abstaining. We will move on to 12B, which is personnel. Manager 3, risk management. Looking to see if I have a motion for this item. A motion by Trustee Jackson and a second by Trustee Paz. We'll look to see if you use the raise your hand feature if you have any discussion on this item. Looks like no discussion, so we'll move to vote. Trustees, please say yes, no, or abstain as I call you individually. Trustee Jackson?
Yes.
Trustee Phillips?
Yes.
Trustee Brookins?
Yes.
Trustee Evans?
Yes.
Trustee Dar?
Yes.
Trustee Robbins?
Yes.
Trustee Luevanos? He said yes. Trustee Paz?
Yes.
And I'm Trustee Ramos, and I vote yes. Motion passes 9-4 and 0 against. Dr. Scribner, I understand that the individual is not with us, but you'd still like to introduce who that person is?
Yes, thank you, President Ramos. I'll throw it over to our Chief Financial Officer, Mike Ball, to announce our new Manager 3 in the area of risk management.
Thank you, Dr. Scribner. President Ramos, this gentleman is a current employee of the district. He's been in our risk management area for a couple of years now. He has shepherded us through a couple of significant claims in the last few months, done a great job. He's got a couple of decades of varied experience in risk management across several industries, so he's very well experienced in this area. And so my heartfelt congratulations to Alex Schropp, who will head up our risk management operations, and thank you to the board for your support of Mr. Schropp in that endeavor.
Thank you. team. Congratulations to Mr. Schrupp, for sure. We will now move on to 13A, action agenda item, which is consideration and possible action on the proposed administrative compliance order on consent, U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, Region 6, docket number RCRA-06-2020-0965, in the matter of Fort Worth Independent School District. Looks like I have a motion by Trustee Jackson and a second by Trustee Robbins. We'll look for the raise your hand feature if you have any discussion on this item. Looks like no discussion. I will call on each trustee. Please say yes, no, or abstain. Trustee Jackson?
Yes.
Trustee Phillips?
Yes.
Trustee Brookins?
Yes.
Trustee Evans?
Yes.
Trustee Dar?
Yes.
Trustee Robbins?
Yes.
Trustee Lebanos?
Yes.
Trustee Paz?
Yes.
And I'm Trustee Ramos, and I vote yes, so the motion passes 9-4 and 0 against. We will be moving on to 13B, which is discussion and action to approve purchase of land from City of Fort Worth via direct sale of lot located at 1919 Vincennes Street, Fort Worth, Texas. Looks like I have a motion by Trustee Robbins. I have a second by Trustee Jackson. Looking for the raise your hand feature if we have any discussion here. Looks like no discussion. We'll go to vote. I'll call each trustee. Please say yes, no, or abstain. Trustee Jackson?
Yes.
Trustee Phillips?
Yes.
Trustee Brookins?
Yes.
Trustee Evans?
Yes.
Trustee Dar?
Yes.
Trustee Robbins?
Yeah.
Trustee Lebanos?
Yes.
Trustee Paz?
Yes.
And I'm Trustee Ramos, and I vote yes. Motion passes 9-4 and 0 against. 13C, discussion and action to approve to authorize superintendent to negotiate and enter into lease at 2224 East Lancaster Avenue, Fort Worth, Texas. Looks like I have a motion by Trustee Jackson. I have a second by Trustee Phillips. Please use the raise your hand feature if you have any discussion. Or discussion by Trustee Jackson.
I want to thank the district. This is the second large property that has been blighted and abandoned that Fort Worth ISD has picked up the slack. The city and the county didn't. It was Fort Worth ISD, and I want to make sure that the public knows that. This is the old Marshall Grain building, and the other building was a 2 or 3 decade old Kroger building that is now the TLC, Teaching and Learning Center. So I just want to say thank you to the team.
Thank you, Trustee Jackson. Looks like there's no other discussion. We will now move to vote. As I call your names, trustee, please say yes, no, or abstain. Trustee Jackson?
Yes.
Trustee Phillips?
Yes.
Trustee Brookins?
Yes.
Trustee Evans?
Yes.
Trustee Dar?
Yes.
Trustee Robbins?
Yes.
Trustee Lebanos?
Yes.
Trustee Paz?
Yes.
And I'm Trustee Ramos, and I vote yes. Motion passes 9-4 and 0 against. I may be mistaken as a deja vu, but didn't we already vote on this item? On 13D? No? We did, right? That's the one that was pulled for consent. Okay, good. So that one's already been voted on for 13D. We will be moving to comments by board members or superintendent on current district activities and announcements. Trustee Jackson, any comment?
I do. Thank you, President Ramos. On Saturday, October 24th, from 10 until noon, we'll be at SS Dillo Elementary. 150 children will receive flu shots because during COVID-19, this is one thing we can control. And so I'm very excited to work with Principal Flagler and also with Principal Angel and Principal Harper. All 3 elementaries, TA Sims, D. McRae, and SS Dillo will be teamed up, and we have about 12 different entities coming out to support students and their families. So I invite everybody to come on out. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Jackson. Next, Trustee Phillips.
No comments, President Ramos. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Trustee Brookins.
I just want to continue to pray for our students, our staff, and our teachers as they continue to go in person. And I hope that we're able to get every child an adequate working device as soon as possible, so they can continue their education and get caught up. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Brookins. Next, we have Trustee Evans.
No comment.
Trustee Dar.
Thank you, President Ramos. I just have some good news to share from some of our District 6 schools, because there's a lot of great things going on out there. At Alice Carlson, we've got third graders who have decided to focus on social emotional learning by reading and doing read alouds with the K through 2 students on campus. At Woodway Elementary, that group has been working together collaboratively as a team to first make sure that campus safety is a priority, and also to focus on instructional expectations. At McLean Middle School, they are off to a great first 2 weeks of school. The kids have been very responsive with the safety protocols and wearing masks. At South Hills High School, they celebrated their senior sunrise on Saturday, October 17th on the football field. Everybody properly social distanced. We congratulate those seniors. And at Southwest High School, the early college high school is off to a great start. And at McLean 6th grade, the and the students are doing a great job with safety protocols. So I would like to give a shout out to those schools and all of the District 6 schools and others in Fort Worth ISD. I look forward to visiting the District 6 campuses within the next couple of weeks. So thanks very much.
Thank you, Trustee Dar. Next, we have Trustee Robbins.
No comment.
Thank you, Trustee Lebanos.
Thank you, President Ramos. I'd like to second the comments by Trustee Brookins that we continue to pray for the safety of all of our students. And I want to thank to all the businesses and community members who step up to the plate and got this thing together for the teachers who are put the list together, and they continue to get phone calls from teachers how happy they are that the community put this thing together, so they are getting supplies. And I would like to thank Atmos Energy for donating a lot of backpacks and lunch packs and water bottles for a lot of the schools in District 8. Thank you, President Ramos.
Thank you, Trustee Lebanos. Trustee Paz.
I have no comments tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Scribner. No comments, and I have no comments. So the time is 9:16 p.m. and this meeting is adjourned. Everyone be safe.